All right, hey everybody, and welcome back to Straight Talk. And I am really feeling some kind of a way. We're going to be talking about the Sonya Massey shooting, and as you may know, she was unalived a week or two or so ago, and it's just heartbreaking. The kind of uh, negative comment that's coming out of here, where people are saying that she it was a deserved or a warranted killing that somehow, some way, she initiated the conflict by taking the hot water and approaching in a menacing way um, to the officer, Sean Grayson, I think his name is. Look, this guy was 6 feet 3, 230 at least, and for whatever reason, he couldn't figure out a way to calm the situation. He had to escalate it to the point of killing a woman that was no more than maybe 120 pounds, and at the very least 20, 30 feet away, with a counter looked like between him and her. So even if she was going to throw the hot water, I mean, it's not going to go that far. It's not going to go as fast as a bullet. So I really wanted to focus in on that and to determine by the comment that's coming in if anyone wants to see the poll of that, what really went on as far as what people think went on, and give your opinion. I would appreciate it. So what we're going to do first, uh, since this is a very serious topic for tonight, uh, we're just going to take our time and really pay homage to that family, and we're going to cover as well the Terrell shooting of another uh, black person by a white cop, if you want to look at it from that perspective. And the guy, the policeman, uh, name, I don't know how you pronounce his name, Gok or something like that. He shot through the kid through the chest and killed the perpetrator, who was the ex-boyfriend of the mother. So we're going to get into all of that in the details, and but right now we're just going to go to our introduction, and I'll be right back. All right, family, we're back on Straight Talk, the WMB show, which is a play off of my book, The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit, that you can find on Amazon. One and two, there are ebooks, and it's being received very, very well. The first book deals with um, why do white people hate black people so much, and the other one deals with understanding white supremacy. And white supremacy is nothing but an overreaction to black oppression. So we're going to get into that as well, but that's another show. But like I said, um, we're going to be talking about Sonya Massey, and let me try to go through here to see which ones I want to play first. Um, so the first one is like 20 minutes. The next one is 10 minutes, and then let's see. The other one is a very well written uh, synopsis, I guess, of what happened, and the way in which she stated or wrote this is just really hitting the nail on the head. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to the first video, and I'm going to go and uh, to the share screen, and then we'll get it started. Please hold on. All right, so we're going to go to the first video. It's 20 minutes long. So we're going to take it in 10-minute bites and talk about things that are happening here in the video and the opinions of the three people that you see here in the video. And I've also put that in the comments as well. So please take a look at that, and then I'll be right back.
Sonya Massey. I'm gonna say her name one more time because I want y'all to understand exactly who I'm talking about when I say her name. Sonya Massey. She just called law enforcement to her residence because of possible intruder. Of course, officers respond as we should. Made contact with her, spoke with her for a little bit, and things turned sideways quickly. It escalated to Miss Massey being alive by Officer Grayson. Macy went to the kitchen after speaking with the officers and removed water from off the stove. I don't necessarily know if the water was really inside it because I heard her turn on the water at the time she grabbed the pot. But she also made some statements towards the officers. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And this is when the demon come out of the officer. When she said that twice, he immediately said that to put that pot down, he was going to shoot her in the head. From my last 13 years of police, I never knew water was an escalation of deadly force. Do you understand me? The use of force continuum is always officers have to go up one. Do you understand me? But I want you to understand this particular case right here. Boiling hot water. Let's say it was real hot boiled water. It's not life threatening. Yes, it's gonna cause some injuries. Nobody wants water thrown on them that's hot. But it's not worth your life either. Do you understand me? And to see that video and to see Miss Massey be unalive because of some water, it's just freaking mind blowing. It's something always setting us back. Do you understand me? Because we got officers that's out here in the community. We got officers that do their job every day, literally protect and serve. Do you understand me? Every day. We got wonderful people that wear these badges. And then you get this person that happen to have a badge that set us back every time by doing dumb stuff, negligent stuff. It's ignorance. Do you understand me? You're not just affecting you when you make the bad choice. You affect not the families. You affect the law enforcement division itself throughout the world because of the way you respond. I'm making this video because to watch that video happen is sad. That should have happened. This Massey should still be here today, not losing her life because of a pot of water. Do you understand me? And I'm just hoping that other officers see this. And it's never to criticize us as a person. Do you understand me? But I also want y'all to understand that your actions reflects all of us. Do you understand me? You are a representation of all of us throughout the world. Your actions determine the next move. And you got to understand, once you build that trust with the community, the last thing you want to do is have a setback. Have people don't want to believe in the police. Kids don't want to be the police anymore. I grew up with people wanting to be the police. But there's so much things that goes on with law enforcement sometimes, and it's real mind blowing because it shouldn't go down that way. And you know what irks my nerve the worst with this incident is that not only after he allowed her, he lied and said that she charged at him with the hot water. We saw the video. She did not charge at him. He didn't. After the whole incident, when he was outside, he called out her name. He said she was a crazy bee. Okay. And you know what? Put the cherry on the top. He was not recording. His body camera was not recording. Anytime you're dealing with the public, your body camera needs to be rolling. Listen, it protects you just as much as it protects that citizen. Do you understand me? Thank God the other officer had his camera on because no telling how the narrative could have been spun. We seen a slight spin on it of him being charged at. However, just picture the escalation it could have been if nobody had their cameras on. You could tell the other officers was a little bothered. If you would look at the reflection hard enough from the door, you could see him holding his head. And then when he asked, should he go ahead and get the first aid kit, Officer Grayson discouraged him from getting it because it was a headshot. Really? A headshot that should have never happened. I get tired of talking about deep stuff like this when it's involving us, man. Because I'm big on the community. I love people. I love helping people. People say, why do I love my job so much? Because I love helping people. Yes, it's a basic answer, but it's the truth. Do you understand? That's from my heart. There's a lot of us like that in this world. Do you understand me? A lot of us. And then to see stuff like this happen, man, it's sad. Justice for Ms. Massey. That's all I want. She deserved that at least. She deserved it. I hope that she get the justice that she deserves. Because she should have been here today. Officers out there, I want you to understand your action reflects on all of us throughout the world. Your actions breaks that trust with the community, the citizens. Do you understand me? I'm out, y'all. I love y'all. Everyone that just support us, general law enforcement, hang in there with us, man. It's a lot of us out here that wear this badge and do a lot of good, a lot of good. But I make videos like this also to yes, we holding them accountable. I want you to understand that we're not overlooking the messed up officers that do messed up stuff. I'm gonna leave with this: justice for Ms. Massey.
So apparently, Sean Grayson's wife, Isabel Butterfield, works at the hospital with Sonya Massey for medical care prior to calling the police. It's also been found that her father is a retired chief of police. But did something happen at the hospital between Isabel Butterfield and Sonya Massey prior to Sonya Massey going home, which prompted Isabel Butterfield to call her husband, Sean Grayson, which then may have prompted him to go to Sonya Massey's house and make a disturbance outside for her to have to call the police. And then you respond. And then you and your partner just so happen to respond to Sonya Massey's call to the police. You knock on her door with your chest puffed out, and then you take her life unjustly. Is that what really happened?
You see, what I have a hard time comprehending is that when you're a nurse, you have to go into work fearing every day. One, because you have lives in your hand. Two, because you know one wrong move, one decision too quick, one decision too slow, you can possibly hurt your patient and never practice again. But then a police officer who has taken an oath to protect and to serve can continuously get away with not doing just that. It baffles me that the officer that killed Sonya Massey had 2 DUI convictions, worked at 6 different departments in 4 years, and was still walking around with a gun and a badge. How? I couldn't even fully watch the video. My stomach was turning. I literally felt sick because I can only imagine how she felt in that moment. Who are we supposed to call when the people who are supposed to protect us are the people that we need protection from? And this is a prime example of what Paul was talking about when he wrote that we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places. We are battling things that we cannot even see. And I think I can speak for us all when I say we are tired. But I need all of us to remember how tired and frustrated we are when it's time to vote. Because the same people who are saying they're tired are the same people who are going to vote for a president who is willing to give police officers immunity, no matter what they do. Immunity.
I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. One of the last sentences spoken by Miss Sonya Massey before she was executed in her own home by an officer that was called there because she thought somebody was trying to break in. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. To which he responded, I will shoot you in your effing face. And then did so. After she said, I'm sorry. Okay? After she said, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus, his response was, I will shoot you in your effing face. And you might be wondering, Rashonda, why did that upset his spirit so? Well, I'll tell you, it's real easy. If you believe in heaven, then you have to believe in hell. If you believe there's a God, then you gotta believe in the devil. Demons roam around here all the time, pure evil. You understand? If you don't believe in any of those things, just know, no rhyme, no reason, nothing behind their eyes, evil. I don't understand why you all don't understand it. Time and time again, we've seen people do heinous things. We've endured so much that it can't even be written about. As they said in the origin, honey, we don't have a number. We can make up a number, but the things that we've been eating. There's not too much that they won't do to us. Pure evil. Do you understand? And I hate to chalk it up to mental health, honey. I don't even want to put it on mental health. But there's got to be something wrong with you to think that we are not human or we're different from you simply because of the color of our skin. You think we got extra muscles in our calves that help us run faster, jump higher. Our lungs are bigger. Our heart is larger. We are human just like you. Something's wrong with you. And you hate us because you're pure evil. That's the only reason. She should be here right now. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus.
I'm going to cut her here a little bit over 10 minutes. I just wanted to get her in and her thoughts and her feelings. I mean, you can feel the disappointment, you can feel the hurt, you can feel the anger, you can feel the frustration for the black community. Now, I've heard that, white cops kill more white people per capita, which is not true. I mean, you can have, let's say, 100 black people, right? And you kill 20. That's 20%. You can have 1,000 people, white people, and kill 20. That's not the same. So per capita and all of that is not the same. You understand? Hold on. So when you're looking at that video, um, I find it, hold on, I find it grotesque, uncaring, a willing to take a life with no regard. Now I can understand where, the first police officer or whoever it was that said that, you got a second to determine one way or the other. That police officer can get shot or the other person can get shot because you just don't know if that gun is real or not. Or the situation may blow up, but hold on, wait a minute, hold up. All right. There are plenty of coincidences where white cops, and you gotta remember, 90% of the people who kill cops are white people, not black people. I'm going to say that again. 90%, if not more, of the cops that are killed by white people, not black people. Okay? We know that for a fact. We also know it for a fact that When it comes to being patient, oh baby, white folk got a whole lot of patience when it comes to your own, and they're the one who's killing you. I mean, they ain't quick to pull a gun on somebody approaching. I've seen this in video. Have a gun out shooting, and they have all the patience in the world. What is white motherfuckers? The ones who are killing and doing the shooting in the schools are white. The ones that are killing and doing all of the shooting of cops that are dying every year in America, I don't know about the other parts of the world, are white. But for whatever reasons, they have all the patience in the world. They're not going to shoot and kill somebody white. I've seen videos, guys, of white men approaching cops with a knife, and they take all motherfucking day to uh, how you say it, to respond, I guess, to deal with that situation. They're gonna give that white boy, that white girl, all the patience in the world because I don't want to shoot nobody of my type. But let it be somebody that's black, that without a gun, without a knife. I mean, I don't think I have to really explain what's really going on in America. It's been well documented that the police officers, that the police department with white officers are racist. KKK members. I don't think I have to go into that. That's been proven. That's been done. That's been said. It is just the overarching attitude of white policemen and police women in the black community. I can't remember the lady's name. I think she might have been a congressman. She's out there in uh, uh, Minnesota, as a matter of fact. And she told the white officers, make sure you police this area and keep the so-called black people under control. Now we all know what that is. We know what that means. But I find it uh, offensive to the utmost that we have people like that. Now I'm not trying to say all policemen are bad, because my father was a policeman, and I have great respect for the police. I back them 100% for those who are truly taking their job seriously, like this brother we're talking about. There are truly good cops. They just have to deal with that the blue thin line or whatever it's called. That that officer who was there with Sonya Massey should have arrested him right there on the spot. There was no reason for shooting that woman. And I truly hope and wish that Sean Grayson, who shot Sonya Massey, go to jail for murder. As a matter of fact, we're going to get into a video of a New York Police Department officer who was retired, who became a preacher, and along with another preacher who states that he checked the Illinois Conduct Code and stated, matter of factly, that the officer broke that code, broke the law, broke the rules of engagement. They're de-escalating things. You start out with a taser, then you go to the club, or whatever the case may be, depending on the situation. That was not followed in the state of Illinois. Oh, boy. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go back and finish that video, and then I'm gonna give you some more commentary on what happened and what they were saying for the people who were taking their time and explaining that. Okay, so hold on. Here we go.
Students with ADHD save 10 hours studying with this Chrome extension.
But no,
Let me get this straight. 36-year-old Sonya Massey was shot by police officers in her home after she called the police to report a possible prowler in the area. The news say as soon as the police pulled up, she was met with hostility. She didn't feel safe even though the police officers had arrived, so she didn't even want to get off the phone with dispatch. I'm watching the video over and over and over again because maybe there's a part that I missed. Police officers ask her for her ID. She starts looking for said ID when the police officer says, "Hold on, there's no need to rummage. Just give me your ID. One thing at a time." Well, I'm looking for my ID. And while you're scared and I don't understand why, I'm afraid too. I think that there's a prowler outside the house, and when I call the cops, they're angry that they had to take the call. Notice a pot of boiling water, so they ask her to go ahead and take care of that, in which she does. She takes the pot of boiling water from her stove to her sink, and then notices that the police officer is backing up hastily. She asks, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm getting away from that hot water." Then she rebukes him. She says, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," because she realizes that the people that she called for help weren't actually there to help. After she says that she rebukes him in the name of Jesus, he says, "You better not, because I'll shoot you in your face." When she realizes that he's drawing his weapon, she then drops the pot, put her hands up, and says, "Okay, I'm sorry." He proceeds to shoot her then several times. It isn't until after she's dead where he screams, "Drop the pot, sir. She's passed away." The cops were poorly trained, poorly behaved, and not able to control their emotions. These types of cops don't need to be granted immunity. There were two police officers and one was handling her. Why couldn't the other one go to the stove and turn off the pot of water? I asked her to turn off the pot of water if you knew that you were going to be afraid that she had a pot of boiling water in her hand. Why are you in the police force if hot water scares you? Police officers were aggravated because she met their sarcasm with scripture, and that really sizzled in their spirits. A felon don't need to be a president, just like a trigger-happy criminal don't need to be a cop.
Now, I know everybody on TikTok is talking about the tragic unaliving of Sonya Massey by the police in Springfield, Illinois. But did y'all know that her 4-year-old cousin, Terrell Miller, was also unalived by police in March? In fact, the day after Sonya Massey's body cam footage came out, it was announced that the police officer that shot and unalived Terrell Miller was not going to be facing any charges or discipline. They are using Sonya Massey to cover up this announcement. Nick Gock also did not attempt to do any first aid on the 4-year-old that he had just unalived in the chest. And here's the thing, Lieutenant Nick Gock also knew Terrell's mother. He had been trying for years to hassle her. Here's what happened that night. On March 16th, Terrell's mother's highly intoxicated ex-boyfriend strong-armed his way into their home, telling her that if he couldn't have her, nobody could. He proceeded to spend hours SAing her at knife point. When the police were finally called, they spent 10 minutes outside of the door, not attempting to come in. Lieutenant Nick Grock was the superior on scene who made that call. When they finally broke down the door, they found Kiana on the floor in a puddle of her own blood. She started screaming, "Save my baby, save my baby." At that point, when she said that he held the weapon to her, the woman bleeding out on the floor, instead of neutralizing the man holding a knife, they let him walk across the room into the child's bedroom. When he appeared, he was holding 4-year-old Terrell Miller in his arms with a knife against his throat and against his stomach. And with no regard for the child's safety, Nick Grock fired through Terrell, unaliving both he and the perpetrator in one bullet. The body cam will be released next week, probably Monday. When Kiana woke up in the hospital, she was informed that her son did not make it. She then had to recover from 27 incisions from that night. There will be a protest in Macomb Monday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sonya Massey's killer is in prison. Terrell's killer is not. Please, say Terrell's name for Sonya's sake.
Do you hate recording or having to order voiceovers? How cool would it be to be able to just enter your text?
We're having you down here, not even done it.
Oh, it hurts. You called us. So what'd you hear?
Somebody outside my house.
Is this your car over here? Is this your car over here? Oh. That's not your black car in the driveway? Oh. Well, we checked the yard and walked around the whole block. We didn't see anybody. We don't check the whole area. We all walk around.
I know y'all. I'm trying to get help, y'all. But
what do you need help with?
I think I just got I
need help with?
Nothing. I just want to see if I can help.
What do you want help with? What do you want help with?
I heard somebody outside.
Yeah, we checked your house, we checked the backyard. I walked all the way through all these backyards, checked the front yard.
I didn't see nobody.
Nobody's out here. Nope. Check the whole area. It took you so long to answer the door.
Oh, I was trying to put some clothes there. I'm sorry.
I got you. All right. Is there anything else we can do for you? Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. All right. Doing all right mentally?
Yes.
Sure. All right. Okay. All right. That's not your black car though. That's you, D. Who's this?
Simple.
Hello? Yeah, I have the sheriff department here, but I was coming to look for y'all. They're here in my house right now. No, hold on, wait a second, sir.
You can hang up, Dr. Lynch.
No, hold on, okay? One second, okay?
What's up?
I got some paperwork. Can you grab that Bible, please?
Yeah. Hey, I just need your name so we can get out of here. Was there any damage previous to your car?
Previous, yeah.
What was the damage?
Dent, I believe.
What about windows?
Oh, that it was something that happened earlier.
Okay. Perfect. What is your last name? You're not saying what's last name. You're not in trouble. I just think it's
Massey. Massey.
Yeah, you have an ID, that makes things so much easier. I just driver's license will do it. Then I'll get out of your hair.
I want to show y'all my paperwork.
What paperwork?
I got the paperwork.
Well, just get your ID.
Well, let's get your ID first, and then
one task at a time.
Okay.
Because you have your ID for me.
Okay.
Your ID, one task at a time. So let's do an ID, and then you can dig around for your paperwork.
I don't know what my ID is.
Don't get fireworks.
Right.
Huh? Where you're hot steaming water. Yeah. Huh? Better fucking not. I swear to God, I'll fucking shoot you right in your fucking face.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Drop the fucking pot.
Well, there you go. Hold on for a second. So we've seen the first video of Sonya Massey. And in the last few minutes of that video, you can see her with her hands up going down. She's complying out of fear because obviously a gun is drawn. I think that would be the typical reaction to anyone who has a gun drawn on them in a position of how you would describe that, in a position of surrender. She go down to try to avoid the bullet, but from the autopsy, we see that the police officer Sean Grayson is shooting down at her at the level in which she's at. There was no retrieval of any weapon. She had cooking gloves on her, or whatever you call her thing, and she goes down to avoid problem. And this asshole of a police officer who is racially intent to kill her. And now, a lot of people might say, well, Isaiah, that's not really true. I mean, he was just doing a job and she was trying to throw hot water on him. No, you didn't see any of that in the last few seconds of that video. Just don't. He did not follow protocol, which we're going to get into with the retired police officer of New York. And now he's a preacher. And hold on, let me see if I can. Yeah, that's the next video that I'm going to play. And believe me, I looked at this and I looked at it and I looked at it, and there's no fucking way that it makes any sense to use deadly, lethal consequences and or action for that. Here you have a man that's 6'3", 6'5", 230 pounds at least, with a gun, and the order of escalation is the if I'm not mistaken, but you're gonna hear it, is the baton, the electrical gun, the shotgun or whatever you want to call it, and ultimately the pistol with the bullet. This is a shut and open and shut case. This is a case of murder on which Sean Grayson has been charged, and hopefully, and I'm praying that he goes to jail so that the people on the inside of the prison and the general population, what's going to happen. You're going to be a sissy, and they're going to fuck him up every which way but loose in any which way they can. He is going to be somebody's bitch. And he's a police officer too. There are consequences and repercussions for everything we do. Karma is a bitch. I'm here to tell you that it just doesn't pay to do anything wrong. And this was handled wrong. So we're going to go to the next video. I'm going to share the screen again. And hold on, please. And we're going to go to the next video. And this is it. So we're going to make it, we're going to play it all the way through. And like I said, this is the ex New York police officer, ex New York police officer that's retired. And he is a pastor now. And with the other pastor by the name of Mike Signorelli. A really good job, really good analysis of what happened. And they're talking about spirits. And that's the other thing we're going to talk about too in a minute. So I'll be right back.
I know that many of you saw the tragic murder of Sonya Massey. She was actually shot by a sheriff's deputy in her own home after she called the police. Now, why are pastors talking about this? Not only is there a racial component, but also a supernatural one. The conversation that's unfolding right now on TikTok among Gen Z, we're going to look at some of the posts and comments, is about demons. And let me tell you why. For those of you who don't know what happened, viewer discretion advised. This is a very, very sensitive thing. But I have with me retired NYPD. He's Pastor Edwin Perez, but you're going to give the perspective of local law enforcement because you have some insights as a result of your career.
Absolutely.
Okay, so just to jump in real quick, let me recap for you. Sonya Massey was shot and killed by a police officer. Now, if you ask what led to this, now again, you can see the footage. It's making rounds on every social media platform. Essentially, she called the cops because she felt that someone was prowling around her house.
Yeah.
And they told her in the video, we didn't see anybody. And at that juncture, what would you have done as a police officer?
Depending on the nature of the call, it doesn't seem like it was clear, but at that point, she gave all of the responses that were enough to say, okay, this scene is done with. So it should have really stopped right there.
Yeah. So at that point, hey, we don't see anyone on the prowl.
Yep.
There's nobody stalking you. We have no evidence of that. We're going to leave now. Good night, ma'am.
That's it.
But from your perspective, it almost seems like they're pressing it, maybe out of boredom. They don't have anything to do in this town, but it just seemed unusual that they continued.
Yeah, it seemed very unusual that they continued. I don't even know what the rationale was. There's not enough reasonable suspicion to go into the person's house, especially if that individual is the 911 caller and making the claim. So I don't know what led them to actually physically go into the house. It could be boredom. It could be they wanted to find something. I really don't know.
Okay.
It's not clear.
So exactly. So now they end up in the home. And this is where things take a dramatic turn. So they're in the home, they're asking for ID, they're basically doing some general questioning. But then at a certain point, she says that there's a pot of boiling water that I need to get on the stove.
Yeah.
And she goes to get the pot of boiling water. And we're going to break this down briefly because I want to show you the potentially spiritual implications of this and why TikTok and Gen Z is now coming into like a discernment. And because this is a very bizarre scene. So she has the pot of boiling water, and then there's this dialogue back and forth, like almost, and it seems as if the cop takes it as a provocation.
Yeah.
But she says, I rebuke you in Jesus' name. I've got this pot of boiling water, and the cop responds almost as if you're not going to throw that on me. You're not going to do that, like as if she was going to use it as a lethal weapon, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a distance between them, maybe 8 to 10 feet.
Yep.
With items in between them.
Let me just say that even from the beginning of him going into the home, there is poor tactics. She's allowed to go into her purse. So here's the thing: you could see that there was a comfortability factor, even with the cop being there. So the fact that this escalated so quickly, as a police officer, we have certain use of deadly physical force, but there are certain levels that you go to. It seems that particular this officer disregarded all the other levels and just went right for the deadly physical force.
Right, because so you would have mace.
Yep,
right,
you would
where
have
you can
mace.
physically spray. That's the lowest level.
That's the lowest level.
Right, and that's like, hey, I feel like I may be threatened in this situation. I'm going to mace you. Then you move up. The second escalation would be a baton.
Yep.
And so, hey, I may need to physically strike this person.
Yep.
But then the last and final would be to physically shoot them.
Absolutely.
Which, listen, we're huge supporters of local law enforcement.
Yeah.
You know that.
Sure.
And so we don't want to villainize anyone and demonize.
Yeah.
But I do think that this is way beyond reasonability.
Yeah.
Right. And so what happens, and they slowed the video down,
Yep.
is that now when this woman sees that he's taking the gun out, she seems to go down, drop the pan, puts her hands up, but then is shot in the face.
Yeah. I know from my training, I can't speak with Illinois, but I know for New York City, we are trained to shoot center mass. So there is no shooting ahead. Again, I don't know what kind of training they have there, but we're always to shoot center mass. If he would have shot center mass, she would probably still be alive right now.
So he made a decision that was instantly fatal, instantly lethal. Right, which may, again, we don't in particular, but it could be outside of the jurisdiction of how they do things.
Could be.
Here's where I want to talk about the spiritual implications as we come to a close. This is a tragedy. Is there a race component? Probably. I mean, I just erring on the side of, white officer, African American female. It doesn't seem like there's any real palpable threat. It seems like it was escalated way above and beyond what it should have been. Those steps were skipped, like we talked about. But I want to go even deeper than race because this conversation is the speculation will be race. But what I noticed on TikTok, and I want to show you a couple of comments, is Gen Z atheists are saying the fact that she said, I rebuke you in Jesus' name before she was brutally murdered may be an indicator that she was in fact discerning. So the first comment that I noticed said she saw the devil in that man. She saw the devil in that man. And then the next one says, I don't really believe in demons and stuff like that, but that video has me questioning. So there's also, in the midst of this tragedy, because you ask yourself, what good could come out of something this dark? May I submit to you the awareness of the fact that there are human beings that can actually have demons inhabiting in them that are giving them these impulses. I haven't seen the video slow down in this particular portion, but I saw many people saying that the way that he cussed, you know, if you do this while she's rebuking in Jesus' name, it's almost very extreme, as if he's manifesting demons. And then after he committed the murder, because let's just call it what it is, the second officer said, "Let me go get my medic kit." And then his response to that is, "Hey, it was a headshot. Don't even worry about it. It's not going to do anything. She's already gone." And his attitude is very unprofessional.
Yeah, so let me just say this, because I actually looked this up, that the Illinois state law for the police directive, whenever something like this happens, it actually says when the use of force by an officer causes injury to another, the officer will evaluate the subject's physical condition and render first aid and request emergency medical assistance as soon as practical and safe to do so. So the fact that he didn't even do that, already he was already against what he was already taught in the academy.
Wow. Let me read this, because this is to me like case closed. This young girl has a viral post. At the time when I saw it, it already had 500,000 likes on TikTok. And this is simply what it said. I want to read this so that all of you can hear about it. "I am not religious, but for her to say, 'I rebuke you in the name of Jesus' with no weapon, multiple feet away from the officer, and him immediately saying, 'You better effing not, I swear I'll shoot you in the effing face,' and drawing his gun with intent to kill her, makes me truly believe that she did see and felt evil in him." So I want to remind you, according to the book of Ephesians, we are in a spiritual battle, and there are not three teams. It's not God, the devil, and us. It is we either choose. We are 100% with Jesus Christ, or you are by default 100% with the devil. And so for that man that committed this heinous crime, and I believe that justice will be served. We got it on video. We were able to discuss some of this. Beyond that, this to me is awakening a generation to the possibility that demons are real. And I'll just end by saying this: if demons are real, then that means God is real. And so I believe that God will take a tragedy like this that seems to have no meaning at all, and out of that cause people to open up the door to the possibility of the demonic, which would then lead to the next door, which is the angelic and God. And so here's my prayer for our nation as we're coming into an election, as division and chaos is just mounting up every single day, that in the midst of this, we have the kindling, the embers of revival and awakening. People are becoming aware. So I want to pray for Sonya Massey's family right now. I want you guys to join with me, and I want us to pray for our nation in the midst of all this chaos. Don't click off this video, because this is the most important part. Matter of fact, if you watch this video and you think maybe you are bound by demons, maybe you have these impulses and these desires you don't know what to do with, I believe that you can be free. And we don't have to experience more tragedies. We actually take people through processes of deliverance every single month, hundreds and hundreds of people, and we want to help you too. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, I pray right now for the United States of America as we prepare for Sonya Massey's funeral, as we prepare for more chaos, Lord, that in the midst of this, you would open the eyes of a generation to see that the spiritual realm is real. And Father, I thank you that you're bringing freedom through the blood of the Lamb, Jesus Christ. And Father, we thank you that even in the midst of these things that don't make any sense, you can still get purpose from them. And Father, I pray for healing. I pray for restoration and peace in the midst of these difficult times. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey, if you're new to the channel, share this video with somebody who needs it. Make sure that you tap the subscribe button so that you can stay up with more broadcasts. And in the description of this video, I actually have some links.
All right. There are some important things that I want to point out that he talks about. Hold on for a second. That he talks about in the video that are so pertinent to me. He talked about principalities and demonic spirits and the devil and angelic spirit. Let me give me a minute. Let me really get into the heart and soul of what that is. Now, when she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," and that somehow, some way, made him feel uncomfortable. The spirits in him came out. Those spirits were evil in nature. The devil came out. His true intent and or purpose came out. Now, I'm not one to believe that the devil is some evil being waiting for you to be possessed. That's not it. Like the movie that goes back. Uh, what the hell is the name of that movie? You know what I'm talking. The Exorcist. That's not it. We are either blessed by the angelic beings on our right side, or cursed by the devil on our right side, on the left side, or right side, whatever the case may be. Now, there's a really old story that says, um, um, that goes like this. Um, there are two lions, or how did that go? Yeah, there are two beings fighting for your control over you all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you can call it the angelic being, or you can call it the devil, right? One is on the left and one is on the right. The one that wins is the one that you feed. If you are an alcoholic, then that devil is alcohol. If you are oversexed and concentrating in that end, then that devil is sex. If you are robbing and stealing and murdering, then that devil is one of the seven deadly sins: greed, gluttony, sloth, envy, pride, wrath, and lust. Those are the seven devils, or at least the seven children of the devil, which is doubt. But when you have a anchor of faith, as if you are tying your shoes, doubt doesn't crop up in your mind. Oh, I won't be able to tie my shoe today, or forget it. I can't do it. You automatically do it because you know how to do it. Knowing and believing is what the foundation of faith is. Walking by faith and not by sight is where it's all about. Manifesting the thing that you want to exist, excuse me, in your life is what it's all about. And so when I look at this clip and the last comment of the woman who were given so many views on TikTok, she was right. But we have to be cognizant of what's going on and why it's going on and how it's going on, because the ultimate choice is ours. Either we're going to do what is right or we're going to do what is wrong. We're going to do what is just or what is do is unjust. We're going to do what is good or what is evil. You are either God today or the devil today. And you cannot allow anyone to bring out the devil in you. I mean, you can walk down the street with your wife or your family, and somebody call your, wife a bitch. Obviously, as a man, you want to say something. But in that moment and at that time, nothing but words came out. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to beat up the guy, kill the guy. You know what I mean? Were his words life threatening? No. So to me, if a person, um, if my wife and I are walking down the street and a person look at her and dog whistle at her and try to do all that, yeah, I'm popping my collar, dude. You know what I mean? That's like, well, you ain't got it, I got it. That's my wife and the mother of our kids. Now the thing changes if he tried to touch her. That means an escalation beyond you can ever imagine. And I'm hurting a motherfucker. try to hurt my wife and my family. That's definitely the case. So I really want to let you guys know what is really going on. And hey, what's up, Elisa? What's up, man? You got it. Hold on, hold on. Oh, okay. I got you. Hold on. Oh, you got your mute. You got your mic muted.
Yeah,
There you
yeah.
go. There you go. Okay. So let me finish up, and then we'll bring you in. This is my partner in crime on the Straight Talk podcast, uh, uh, Elias,
Yes, sir.
and we'll be right back with you. Hold on.
Okay.
So, like I was saying, if I'm walking down the street with my wife and someone approaches her, or for the first time says something out of pocket, he didn't touch her. He didn't abuse her physically. And if he said, "Wow, you beautiful, beautiful," I'm like, "Hell, I'm gonna pop my collar." I'm like, "Yeah, I know she's beautiful, but that's mine, dude. What are you talking about?" I'm not trying to escalate it to the point where he might feel out of pocket, or I might feel out of pocket, and I got to go to the other extreme. But like I was saying, if someone touches my wife while I'm with her and try to rape her or stab her, now you know damn well he ain't making it. Because believe me, I'm putting my life down in front of that person, and I'm fighting like hell to get it back. Ain't nobody gonna fuck over my wife, gonna fuck over my kid, gonna fuck over my shit. I'm just keeping that shit on 100. On God, that motherfucker gonna go to the other side of this lifetime. He's going into the tomb and definitely into the morgue. That's it. But if nothing happened that makes me take it to that level, then why am I taking it to that level? I just keep walking. There's no reason to do all of that. But just as in Sonya Massey's case and the Grayson guy, there's some there were some ambivalent feelings or spirit that escalated with him in his mind, whether that be a racial intent, whether that be something that disturbed his spirit when she said, "I will rebuke you in the name of Jesus." Now, you either have good intentions or bad intentions, but the choice is yours. And he chose the devil. And the devil comes in 7 categories, as I had explained. The 7 deadly sins: greed, gluttony, sloth, envy, pride, wrath, and lust. And those are the children of doubt. The devil's name is doubt. And either you're going to do the right thing or you're going to do the wrong. And he paid the price. Now he is paying the price. And like I was saying, once he get up in jail, in prison, he's charged with murder. He in the general population, he is going to be a sissy. That ass is going to be turned up, turned out, turned in, turned out. He's going to be somebody's bitch. No doubt. And he's a policeman. And just like the last video we just saw, the ex-retired New York police officer was stating that in the Illinois book of conduct for policemen, you start out with the mace, then you start out with the baton, then you start out with the electrical gun, and then if necessary, you shoot to kill if it's necessary. Now, I've stated too that this is racially motivated to me. No ifs, no ands, no buts. And I've also given the comment that when it comes to white folks, white cops got all the motherfucking patience in the fucking world. They can literally have a gun pointed at them and they'll try to calm the motherfucker down. And you can Google this on YouTube or whatever the case may be. Google this shit. And you're going to see white officers with white offenders protecting white folk. They ain't reaching for their gun immediately. One had a sword. One had a knife. The other one shot at the motherfucker. But somehow, some way, these white officers had all the motherfucking patience in the world with these white motherfuckers.
I love those videos.
Yeah, yes, sir. And the thing is that um, 90% of the cops in America are killed by white motherfuckers. 80%, if not more, of the school shootings are started and ended by white motherfuckers. The boy who went into that black church and killed 9 people, still alive. He was caught and wasn't unalived. But I can tell you this: if he was black, they would have filled his ass with lead. Now you can look at this on YouTube.
Dylan Roof.
Immediately, Elijah, that they kill immediately white black offenders, what appeared to be offenders, and the little black boy in the park. The police rolled up on him and shot him like 2 seconds as soon as they got out the car.
Trayvon Martin.
Yes, and it was a little toy gun. So give me your thoughts on it. I don't know if you saw those videos, Elias, but give me your thoughts on the matter and what's going on in America and your thoughts.
Well, my brother, thank you for having me. I apologize for my lateness. I have some circumstances. We'll talk about that offline later.
Okay.
But as far as what you just iterated, as far as that's concerned, well, let me take Sonya Massey in particular, because there's a lot that's been added to the pot, if you will, in the last few hours. I tagged you in a video yesterday or this morning, stating by a brother named Remedy H.
Okay.
Stating that there's an uncanny resistance. There's an uncanny resemblance that Sonya Massey has to chick that died about 10 or was supposedly unalived 10 years ago, about named Sandra Bland.
Okay.
His position, and I brought this up to you before I saw that video late last night, but his position is that they're the same person and this is a psyop. And I didn't tell you with that angle, of course, but I told you the same yesterday, because the way I see it right now, brother Isaiah, is that it's like and you can relate because you're from a city where this dynamic is also existent. There used to be when I lived in New York, which I'm from, there used to always be a fight for the back page of the newspapers between both baseball teams. You had the Mets and the Yankees.
Right.
And so what's happening now, if you understand media, what's going on, the good guys and the bad guys are fighting it out for attention of who's going to get the main news on the screen. So this is why, remember back in the days when something big happened, like a president getting shot, or this situation, and others like Mike Brown. We can go on with the names forever. When things happened, they had a news cycle of about maybe 2 weeks where it was headline news and the top story for going for a week and a half before it switched to something else. So this is what's happening now. We had the eclipse in April. We had earthquake in New York. We had so many different things have happened. I mean, where things now on the news for a day before it changes over to the next story. So what I believe is that's what they're doing. However they doing it, they could have cloned her. They could have, Manchurian candidated her or what have you. Right. If it's her, or it could be a clone. You know what I'm saying? So she's probably in a cloning lab somewhere, and they got avatars for them. And the purpose of all that is for them to distract us, those with melanin, from knowing that our divine inheritance is soon coming. I'm done.
Right.
Go ahead. You can get it back.
Okay. That's a good one. I'm in total agreement with that. But a lot of people are not going to be able to see it because they're not up on game. You know what I mean? And what's going on. I just sent Brother Maurice quite a few things about Trump and the fact that he's in Cayenne Mountain, surrounded by white hats, I guess you want to call them, or the what do you call it? They're not the FBI, CIA. Damn, I'm trying to the Green
Well,
Berets or something like that.
yeah. Well, as far as I know,
You kind of freezing. You don't throw it out. Go out and come on back in. Go out and come back in if you can hear me. So look, guys. Yeah. While he's coming back, cause he done froze out. I can't even mute. Yeah, I can't even mute the thing. So we're gonna remove him. Hopefully he'll come back. Oh, here we go. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that so much stuff is going on in Washington D.C. with the Fed and with the IRS not being legitimate agencies of the U.S. anymore. That the America Corporation or Inc. died a long time ago. So what we are seeing is a movie. I'm not going to cover that too much. Oh, here we go. I'm not going to cover that too much. Yeah, I was saying I wasn't going to cover that too much on today's show. It's really about Sonya Massey, but we're going to make that appointment next Saturday to deal with what's going on. But we're going to try to cover as much as possible too what you were leading into as far as our ancestry and our inheritance that is biblically foretold, that is coming to the forefront right now. It's just unstoppable. And all of what is going on in terms of our children who are these so-called white people are not white, they're not Caucasian, not Aryan, not Anglo-Saxon, they're not European. They just bleached out black people who come from Dravidian albinos that made it with normal black people who got the octoroon people that we call white today. That's where they come from. They don't come from Europe. They don't come from outer space. Don't make this shit hard. This is not hard to understand because I proved it beyond a shadow of a doubt in my book, The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit, that is available on Amazon. And as a matter of fact, let me pull that up. Lead book 2, and you can see that The White Man's Burden, book 2, which is right here, Understanding White Supremacy. Now, white supremacy is nothing but an overreaction to black oppression. If you don't know now, you know that the true Europeans were black. That is really coming out to the forefront. But I really don't want to get into that right now. One day we're going to do that, Brother Elias, and we're going to really set it on fire because that truth is now to the forefront. A lot of so-called white folks are just waking up to the reality that we've been fucking around with the wrong motherfucker. Shit. The black people are the real Semites, and we have been anti-Semitic to the real Semites. Well,
may I add in there? I love your language, my brother.
Right.
I love your language. I love your choice of vernacular, if you will. Let me say it nicer.
Okay, yeah. Well, you know, on this show we say what the hell we want to say.
Yes, sir.
We want to say as long as not being offensive to people who will listen to it. And the thing is that truth is what it is. I'm not going to hide from it. You're not going to hide from it. And we're going to speak truth to power. This is what we do on this show. It is called straight talk for a fucking reason. Straight fucking talk. Fuck Netanyahu and his gang of wannabe Jews that are not real Jews. Now, you can look at me and say, well, that's anti-Semitic, Isaiah. Well, how the fuck can I be? Hold on. It's anti-Semitic. I'm Semitic, So how can I be against myself? What I am against is the injusticeness that is happening in the Middle East, which is really Northeast Africa. White folks, we renamed that shit on some bullshit tip.
For those who have an issue let me just get in real quick, brother, on that one. For those of you who have a problem with saying anything above the Mediterranean, on the other side of Africa, north of Africa, so what they call what is now known as the Middle East.
Right.
For any of you who have out there who have a problem with what my brother just said, know that though those places are not on the technical African continent itself, if you examine the continental plate, they're still on the African continent in that way, and it's still considered Africa. When it was Kush, that went all the way to India. And then when it was Gaia, when all the landmass was together and it was just one big landmass, when it was Gaia, it was connected to Atlantis, which is what is America today.
Right.
You know,
Well,
a great book for somebody, and I'm sure you're aware of this book, whether you read it or not, because it goes to a lot of what you're talking about at this moment. A great book to read when it comes to that is a book called "When Rocks Cry Out" by Horace Butler. Great book.
Ain't too many books that I ain't read.
I never read it.
Hard way.
Yeah, I never read it. Yeah, but I most of the people that I know, like yourself, have read it, and they told me is super gangster. I got to get it.
Right, but you know what? I'm leaning. I'm not there 100% of the way, but I am leaning to the fact, and this is a fact, not what I believe or an opinion, that the older pyramids are in the Americas. That's a fact.
Cahokia.
Right. Much older than the ones in Egypt. I am of the fact and the belief that Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt was North America and South America. It just makes sense.
And the Mississippi was the Nile.
Yes, sir. I am of that opinion and of that fact. So it's too many, but we're not going to get into that. God, you know what we do on this show? We bring the noise, we bring the evidence, we bring the receipts. So instead of just talking, we're going to set up a date on that as well, and we're going to through the week we'll put our heads together and making sure that we got all the evidences and everything else that are pertinent to that claim. But let me go on to the other video, Elias, and hold on. Okay, hold on. I want to make sure. But before I do, let me hold on. Let me bring that up on the share screen, because this woman wrote something that is deep to me. You know what I mean? That really spoke to the spirit of what is right, just, and true. And if we don't get on the right track in America and around the world, we're going to see these evil spirits just take over the world. Hold on. So I'm going to read it. It was by Sarah Boyles, who is a freelance journalist. I don't know what the two mean. But she said, I watched the body camera footage of the fatal shooting of Sonya Massey, age 36, in Springfield, Illinois. You are going to see a lot of pictures of the deputy who took Sonya's life. His name is Sean Grayson. And what he did is so despicable that I refuse to share his picture. He has been charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. And after watching this video, I know exactly why he was charged. It's exactly what he did. This deputy below, who I only know by seeing him briefly, in this still of the body cam worn by Shauna Grayson is specifically who I want to think. I am not the person, she's talking about the other officer that was in the home. I am not the first to share his image. I won't be the last either. After Sean Grayson shot Sonya Massey while both of her hands were in the air, not down, not to the side, in the fucking air, and she was saying, I'm sorry. This officer never fired his weapon or acted unprofessionally at any moment. That's the other officer besides Sean Grayson. While Sean Grayson is calling Sonya Massey the bitch word as she laid taking her last breath in her kitchen, as he called her a crazy bitch word to the other officers in her last moment. The officer picture below, the other officer in the home, cradled her head in his hands and on his lap. Hold on. The officer pictured below rubbed Sonya Massey's hair and shoulder as she took her last breath on this earth. This man was deeply distraught. This man was visibly shaking so hard he could barely clean his hands after cradling Sonya's head. He stayed by her side all along, while the deputy that shot her went outside and never returned to help. While Deputy Sean Grayson tried to make excuses on why he shot Sonya Massey, whom he referred to by everything but her actual name, the deputy photographed below did not agree with him or engage with him. He knew it was wrong. It was clear he was upset with Sean Grayson, and he was not going to be part or partial of his excuse. Within 5 minutes of realizing that the deputy below was not going to help cover this up, Sean Grayson called the deputy a dipshit. Why? Because this deputy did not shoot a woman that was unarmed. 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 This deputy was honest about the death. Sonya Massey called the sheriff department on July the 6th because she thought there was a prowler in her yard. The deputy below did find broken windows in the car next to her home, which obviously would appear as if someone had broken into the vehicle or there was a prowler. He did not pound on her door. He did not treat her differently because she was acting paranoid. When she called 911, while they were there, he did not demand for the dispatcher to hang up with her like Deputy Sean Grayson did. He understood Sonya was not feeling well. The deputy below tried to keep Sean calm. But it is obvious Grayson was already upset because Massey took 2 minutes to answer her door so she could get dressed. Sonya Massey was never aggressive or angry. Let me repeat that again. Sonya Massey was never aggressive with the pot of water, whatever the fuck it was, or angry at any moment. Sonya was trying to find her ID when Deputy Grayson brought up a pot of hot water to her. Something she wasn't looking at or even thinking about. In fact, all three were a room away from the water. Sonya was seated in the living room. Sonya took the water off the stove and put the pot of hot water as she was asked to do. Out of nowhere, Grayson threatened to shoot her in the fucking face. Several times. Not once, not twice, 3 fucking times. while she holds her hand up and says, "I'm sorry." She has said she was rebuking him and in the name of Jesus, which I truly believe she saw the devil in this man. She did not have the pot in her hands. She did not whatsoever. She didn't threaten him. She didn't threaten him with the water. It was to her right, several feet away, not inches, not centimeters, motherfucker. Feet, at least 2. She was mentally ill. Woman just talking.
I never heard that part. What's up with that? Just briefly.
Yeah, well, this is the recounting of the story by this woman. Hold on. By the name of Sarah Boyle. She was a freelance journalist.
Okay.
So let me go back. Okay.
Okay.
Let me see where I'm at. So, so the deputy below tried to calm Sean down. That's not 2 minutes. Okay, but it is obvious Grayson was already upset because Massey took 2 minutes to answer the door. That's not where I was at. Where was I at? Okay, down here.
She didn't threaten him with the water.
Right. Okay. She was mentally ill. Woman just talking. The pot would have stayed on the counter if Sean Grayson had not shot it when he shot Sonya. Thank God for the body cam footage, or he would have tried to say she had it in her hand or was threatening him with it. That is what he did on the scene. "I'm sorry." Those are the last words. She was cowering in fear with absolutely no weapons when her life was taken. The deputy who took her life said that he wasn't going to waste his med kit on her. Instead, he was trying to cover his track during those crucial minutes after he struck her in the face with a round after firing 3 rounds towards her. She was on the ground with her hands up when she was shot. Not because she was asked to go to the ground, but because she was cowering in fear. Normally, you would do that. Just like Sonya and the photograph, the deputy below, I have no clue why Sean Grayson did this. I believe everyone who watches this will understand why she cowered in fear. I've never seen anyone, deputy or otherwise, behave so cold, callous, and insulting after seeing or doing something like this. My thoughts are with the entire community, Sonya Massey, her friends, family, everyone else that will be affected by this body cam footage. If Deputy Number One went to this call without Sean Grayson, Sonya would still be here. And this is the gentleman, the other police officer here, as you can see, was there. And this is the beautiful system, man, beautiful. You can tell from the house that it was in disarray. That's perceivably because of her mental state or whatever the case may be. But that's beside the point. So, but as you can see, this is the guy, the other police officer who did not shoot Massey, but he did pull the gun. I don't know why, but hell, when you're down and out and you know, just feet away from the person who shot, how in the hell and why in the hell would you pull your gun? Ah, boy. So let me get out of here and go back with you, Brother Elijah. Hold on. So from those words, what do you get from that?
Like I said, quite profound in the event that this is not a psyop. Of course, it's right and exact. I have no problems with anything that she said. But going back to my question again, what verifiable information do you have on her mental status at the time?
Well, I don't know, just based on what I've heard. And then she does admit that to the officer that she had a mental situation that she took her meds. So I'm basing it on the word that she spoke. I don't know what that condition is. It might have been whatever the case may be. I don't want to put it on the table and say she was split personality or whatever case, because I don't
Right.
know.
Right, because it sounds like she was certified at one time or another. Maybe she spent a little time in a tank or something like that.
Yeah, that could be.
Because even in her voice, and I've said this to a few people. The first time, well, I only watched it once. I didn't. You don't need to watch that more than once. You just get triggered. But as far as I'm concerned, her voice sounded kind of like she wasn't, working with a full deck. Because the way I see it, if the police came to my crib, right, and that was the situation, I would have went to the stove and turned the pot off and just left it there, unless it was burning or something. I was questioning that. I mean, and I'm not excusing what happened. That's not what I'm doing.
No. I understand.
Yeah, we're trying to break this down piece by piece so that we can maybe make a little sense out of it. But her voice sounded.
In hindsight, there's always,
right,
coulda, woulda, shoulda. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But as far as that's concerned, she didn't sound stable. Like Bobby Hemmett was always famous for saying, when you start talking that God and Jesus shit, that's when they're gonna kill you.
Yeah.
He said, look at them motherfuckers like you got a demon in you, and they'll get scared. They'll put their gun back in their holster and be like, okay, you want us to file a report and come to the station and to get the hell out your face. You know what I'm saying? Right. I learned that a long time ago, but I want to hope it's a psyop with Sandra Bland and she's still alive and they got her in some clone tank or something like that, and she's gonna come back to us like a lot of these dead motherfuckers, using your language. Right. Like a lot of these people we think are dead and ain't, and a lot of these people we think are alive and ain't.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at a video, not to change the story, because I'm going to go into the last video of President Biden. All of a sudden, this 80-year-old man grew 5 inches.
They were saying that Trump was standing next to JD Vance, who's listed at, you saw that? Yeah.
5'7",
bro.
But he damn near the same height of 6'2" of Trump.
Exactly.
And you can tell from the mask it's not, but hey, that's another thing. I've also heard, you probably heard too, that Mike Pence, right? Not Mike Pence, the Speaker of the House is actually it's actually Snowden.
Wow.
I don't know if you heard of that.
No, I never heard that.
Right. So what I'm saying, I'm just putting it on the table that the election of 2024 is not going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
What we're going to see is Nesra taking its route. What we're going to see is that Commander-in-Chief Trump coming back as the president of the Republic, the Constitutional Republic of America, whatever the word is. And then this so-called corporation is dead and gone. We know for a fact that the United States of America went bankrupt in 1970. And what the hell I'm saying, 1917, 2017. And then a lot of executive orders were done to effectuate the cleaning of the swamp. So a lot of these Congress people have been brought up on treason charges, and they're gone and dead, or in Guantanamo Bay. Now you can look at Guantanamo Bay 5 years ago with virtually nothing there, and all of a sudden they built it up, and right, and spent $50 million to recreate the Congress, and that whole so-called area like a studio and a movie that's being played. Now you know damn well a bullet going past Trump's head, which may be, or the ear, may be a body double with a mask because they keeping that man safe in the Cayenne Mountain, the Green Beret or whatever the special ops are. But it sure the hell ain't the FBI, and it sure the hell ain't the CIA. They out to kill that man. You know what I mean? From what I am saying.
Well,
But,
as far as the intelligence agencies are concerned, you have two factions. You have the good inside the intelligence agencies. You have the good guys and the bad guys too. So we can't put that on everybody. And this is why I don't know if you remember a gentleman named Robert David Steele. He supposedly passed away about 3 years ago.
Right.
He was an ex-CIA agent. And very important to the military industrial complex as a whole. And he used to say that the so-called intelligence agencies don't do real intelligence, and that they need to be reduced to about 10% of themselves as we speak. And one agency, we don't need. Well, on paper, there's supposed to be about 17 intelligence agencies, but They don't need that many because basically that is the soldiers for the imperialists who no longer are seizing land. They're seizing the minerals and the wealth under the land, and their minions. We spoke about this on our first call when I told you about the book Confessions of an Economic Hitman and how they do it.
Right.
Let's go on the businessmen. They light. They're not trying to make no smoke. But if
you done froze that again, player. What the hell? Yeah, I see what you're saying, Butter Marie. We're not saying she's crazy. She's saying she had a mental issue, not crazy. Mental issue. So I'm just going by what she says in the video, and that she took her meds or whatever the case may be. For what? I don't know.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. So you're back. Yeah,
my internet is messed up. So if I keep going out, the next time I go out, I'm just gonna leave. I gotta leave in a few minutes anyway.
Okay.
But let me just finish my thoughts. So that way, if it happens again, I'm out.
Okay.
But the point I'm making is that with the businessmen, and then if the businessmen don't work out, then they send in the spies, and these guys are connected to the CIA, to the NSA, and whatever intelligence agency that they're in. And if they still don't want to do that, then depending on the situation in the country, they'll either fund the opposition by giving them guns and money and all that to fight the president and the government, or they'll just come in and make up something like they did with Saddam, during right before 9/11 and all that. They'll just make up something and then come into your country and take it over. They'll say that even though Osama bin Laden was at fault, they'll make up something about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq and then come into your country just so they could overtake it and then take all the oil or whatever resource is most plentiful in your nation. That's it.
Okay. Well, hold on, player. I want you to see this last video. It's only about a little over 10 minutes long. And then you can cut out because I know you're on the run. So
Okay.
Hold on. Let me.
Go ahead. Go for it. I'm still good. Go ahead.
Okay. Hold on. Bring it on the entire screen. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. I'm just gonna let it play out, and then I'll be right back, guys.
So for anybody that's brand new, I would love it, or even if you're not brand new, if you have any other information that you may have heard directly on God, you would like to inform everybody else, please leave that in the comment section below. So again, at any point in time, feel free to leave a comment about how you feel, your observations, and if you may have heard any new information from this video.
Hi, White Woman Cop here. I just want to talk about Sonya Massey. I've been in law enforcement 7 years, and I have seen a lot of fucking bullshit. And I'm telling you right now, that video of that officer unaliving that poor woman is fucking disgusting. As a cop, I am completely disgusted with not only my duty in my profession right now, but all my other law enforcement officers who are refusing to speak out against this. I mean, this goes beyond a law enforcement. This goes to a humanity factor. This officer went into this situation wanting to kill someone. Why are there not more officers speaking out against this? That is not what I signed up to do this job for. And any cop that does not speak out against this is just as guilty. In fact, we should be the first ones speaking out against our own people that are doing this stuff. This is murder. Yeah, it's murder. When I signed up to be a law enforcement officer, it was to protect and serve my community. It was to get to know my community. It was to help my community, to better my community, to make sure my people were safe. That's why I signed up. So you're telling me right now that a pot of boiling water is a threat to you? That's I cannot fathom. Because again, this wasn't about a woman with a pot.
For just $49, you can transform any text into captivating animated videos.
That wasn't. This was a race-related issue. I'm absolutely disgusted. Disgusted. I'm so sorry. Sonya Massey deserved better, and I will say her name. Justice for Sonya Massey. We failed you. As law enforcement, we absolutely failed you. We failed your family. We failed. Just failed. Some days I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to be a part of this. Because I care about this. And if you go into profession with some idea of greater, like you want to be a hero, you don't need to be here. And now all the work that us good officers do to try to bring our community together to make them not fear us, well, guess what? It's all gone because of that asshole. And I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to make him famous. He's nobody. He's dirt underneath my feet.
Now, I know everybody on TikTok is talking about the tragic unaliving of Sonya Massey by the police in Springfield, Illinois. But did y'all know that her 4-year-old cousin, Terrell Miller, was also unalived by police in March? In fact, the day after Sonya Massey's body cam footage came out, it was announced that the police officer that shot and unalived Terrell Miller was not going to be facing any charges or discipline. They are using Sonya Massey to cover up this announcement. Nick Goff also did not attempt to do any first aid on the 4-year-old that he had just unalived in the chest. And here's the thing, Lieutenant Nick Goff also knew Terrell's mother. He had been trying for years to hassle her. Here's what happened that night. On March 16th, Terrell's mother's highly intoxicated ex-boyfriend strong-armed his way into their home, telling her that if he couldn't have her, nobody could. He proceeded to spend hours essaying her at knife point. When the police were finally called, they spent 10 minutes outside of the door, not attempting to come in. Lieutenant Nick Brock was the superior on scene who made that call. When they finally broke down the door, they found Kiana on the floor in a puddle of her own blood. She started screaming, "Save my baby, save my baby." At that point, when she said that, he held the weapon to her, the woman bleeding out on the floor. Instead of neutralizing the man holding a knife, they let him walk across the room into the child's bedroom. When he appeared, he was holding 4-year-old Terrell Miller in his arms with a knife against his throat and against his stomach. And with no regard for the child's safety, Nick Brock fired through Terrell, unaliving both he and the perpetrator in one bullet. The body cam will be released next week, probably Monday. When Kiana woke up in the hospital, she was informed that her son did not make it. She then had to recover from 27 incisions from that night. There will be a protest in Macomb Monday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Sonya Massey's killer is in prison. Terrell's killer is not. And I'm going to be covering this story hard this week, so please say Terrell's name for Sonya's sake.
In case you start to feel bad for Officer Grayson's partner, the guy that also drew his gun and watched Sonya Massey get her head blown off, if you start to feel bad for that guy and say, oh, he's going to have PTSD, I hope his family supports him, listen to the call that they made afterwards reporting the shooting, and he also reported that it was self-inflicted. If there wasn't proof or evidence, if he didn't know for a fact that his partner was going to be guilty, he absolutely was about to have his partner's back and say, no, this was just another black woman that killed herself. I guarantee you, if I saw one of my coworkers kill someone, I'm flipping on them like that. 1 second. Goodbye. See you, Cheryl. I have no loyalty amongst coworkers, especially if I watch you murder someone that just said, hey, I love you guys. I love you guys. I'm so happy you're here. And 30 seconds later, you murder them. And then you're going to get on the phone with the cops or on the phone with someone, a first responder, and you're going to say, yep, self-inflicted. Yep, she killed herself. I don't feel bad for his partner at all. His partner absolutely should go to jail too, and I'm pretty positive it's illegal to report false happenings at a crime scene like that, especially as a cop. Don't feel bad for
Reporting of the night of 36-year-old Sonya Massey's death in an apparent attempt by police to cover up an unlawful incident, telling dispatch that the shot that was fired was self-inflicted. Police audio revealing a conversation between the dispatcher and an officer on the scene indicated that one of the law enforcement officials lied and stated that the multiple wounds to her face were self-inflicted. That statement is drastically different from the body cam footage, which was released this week, showing the mother of two being compliant and calm during the encounter. Dispatch asks for confirmation, to which the responding officer repeats his lie again, stating self-inflicted. The damning new evidence coincides with the suspicious and misleading information cops provided to health care workers after they transported Sonya to the hospital where she was pronounced deceased. The family stated that police told the loved ones that either the family stated police told them that their loved one was either taken out by a home invader or took her own life. Quote, they tried to make me believe that a neighbor did it. That was stated by Jamie Crawford Jr., Massey's former partner and father of one of her children, who added that officers lied to nurses at the hospital, telling them that Miss Massey had ended her own life. Quote, how do you get that confused? A doctor eventually confirmed that Sonya's deceasement was not her offing herself, but rather a homicide, sparking an investigation by law enforcement officials who classified it as a police incident. So let me know what you guys feel about this information, because again, this is quite a lot. I feel like we might have some more stuff missing as well, because like I said, it's pretty interesting that the cops would want to say that it's self-inflicted, knowing the fact that it wasn't. She had a pot of water. So how would she do this? If we're looking at the body cam footage, we know where the shot specifically came from. So how do you decide to state to a dispatcher that it's self-inflicted? How do you then decide to tell the nurses at the hospitals it's self-inflicted? Then how do you decide to also tell the families that, hey, it's either one of two things, an intruder or self-inflicted? How do you lie that many times? And we have the full body cam video right here. Now, I would love to hear how a lot of people are going to try to justify that lie. You're not going to tell me, oh, well, the adrenaline is rushing, words got confused, they deal with this type of thing 24/7, 72 hours a day. They barely get any type of rest because they got to protect the serve. And, a lot of people try to find a way to justify this. And if you're going to try to say that they work long hours, well, that means that they should stop trying to do overtime. They should stop trying to, quote unquote, overwork, and they should actually take vacation. They should actually take days off. They should actually spend some time directly with themselves and recoup and come back renewed and refreshed, instead of trying to grind and continuously be there and and be on coffee and be on roids and all these other types of things. And then you have incidences like this. But again, something that I want to harken back to of what I used to do videos on. LA is famous for, let's say, like the banditos or the executioners. If you don't know what those are police gangs. If you look directly at that officer who took the life of Miss Massey, he has tattoos. It used to be a point in time where tattoos were frowned upon when people were in law enforcement. Though those were things that you just did not show off, because normally what do police say? That if somebody's wearing tattoos, they have a sleeve, it's usually gang related. So if we're going to use that same knowledge base or the same statement that police normally use, Let's apply that to the cops, and what does that then mean? With their logic, that means that any cop that you see with tattoos, those identifying symbols, that means that they're more than likely in a gang as well too. So I'm just putting that directly out there, just in case people forgot. So again, for all of those out there that say, "Oh, back to blue," you're also backing gang members. I just want you to understand that they're legally and I guess you could say justifiably able within the law to take lives. This is what they do legally. So, but anyways, let me know what you that you were able to hear in the comment description below. As always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.
All right, hold on, Eli, hold on. Let me get out of here and then go right on back to you. Let me say this before you make a comment. Like I stated, there are many instances where white folks, the perpetrator, has a gun and pointing it at the officer, not only pointing at the white officer, shooting with the intent to motherfucking kill. But somehow, some way, these motherfuckers got all the patience in the world when it comes to white folks. Now, when you come to black people, and this is one of the things I'm going to put here in the comment, www.bondsforthewin.com. I want to make sure I got that out there. What is happening is that police officers must have a bond, a surety bond. Otherwise, they can't work. The police department must have a surety bond. The city in which the motherfuckers work must have a surety bond. And this is what is lacking in our community when it comes to officers, whether they're killing the person without a gun, whether they're beating them up to the point of no return and they die or they get seriously injured. If you go to the site, Bonds for the Win, you are going to win. They must pay you that fucking bond and they must shut down the fucking police department for whatever length of time until they investigate that shit, and then you get the bond fucking money. And this is what we're not doing. We're hooping and hollering, yelling and screaming, and I can understand that. Crying, I can understand that. Marching, I can understand that. But get the fucking money. Shut the fuck up. Get serious about this motherfucking shit and file the bonds for the fucking win. You're going to win. What are your thoughts about that, Brother Elias?
Great analysis, brother, and truth to power. For such a long, we have to understand the nature, and I posted it in the chat box. The nature as to why the police exist in our country, and that is because post Reconstruction was like, we got millions of niggas walking around here free now. What are we gonna do? And we know about the slave catchers and the 12 years of slave story, blah, 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 so on and so forth. There was so many people, especially from the South, who were riding around on horses up north, just grabbing any nigga they could find.
Right.
Okay, and bringing them back to the South and telling them you were slave because you escaped from this. We couldn't find the guy that really escaped, so we just bring in any nigga.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we have the movie for reference. I don't need to explain this 10 minutes for y'all to get the point of what I'm trying to tell y'all. Okay, So in the song that I posted to you on the chat, if you want to play it later, because I'm after I finish speaking with you, I'm gonna get off. But in the song that I posted, the name of it is "The Sound of the Police." And it's by an artist called KRS-One, very well known, very articulate with what he says. He talks about how the police officers started, and it really was a song dealing with apartheid in South Africa, but then it came back home to the United States and to this side of the world as to how the police departments became about as a result of a whole bunch of free African people walking around the South, especially with nothing to do because you couldn't bond them no more. That word bond is very important in this conversation. So after that happened, basically the police exist as a result of them knowing that they weren't going to be able to enslave us directly. So now you get arrested by somebody, and through the slave leasing program, you go to jail and you go right back to the plantation you came from to work for these people. And it just became a money.
You froze out. Yeah, I wanted to wait a few seconds, Eli. You'll come back.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm gonna finish
okay.
it off. Yeah, they fucking with me because I'm coming too deep with it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Through the slave leasing program, you are able to be enslaved again in prison, and this is why you got guys in prison today, making 18 cents an hour at a job in prison, where if you were out here on the street, you'd be making 70,000, 75,000, a great income out here in the street. You wouldn't have to be on the street doing all the dumb shit we know we do too much of. So with that said, let me get out of here, brother. If you want to get,
I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you as well. I'll like I said, after you finish the show, give me a call offline, and then I'll let you know where I'm at with my situation.
I bet, man. Stay black.
Okay, brother. You too. Thank you. Peace.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here by myself, so we're gonna go on into the other object, go into the other subject, and I'm gonna make sure. Hold on, I'm gonna make sure this is right. Okay. Well, I don't have time for that one. What I'm gonna do? Hold on for a second. I want to bring this up. Where? Hold on. Let me see. Check it. I want to make sure I'm writing. Excuse me, because I'm going a little crazy here. Oh, here we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to how long? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the last two videos that deal with who landed in 1619. No, I'm sorry. That's gonna have to wait. I could do it, but it's kind of like almost 10 o'clock. Hell, since I done said it now, I know you guys are probably gonna want to check it out. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna do it. It's a 50 minutes long. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna play it for 25 minutes, and then 25 minutes, and then first we're gonna do this really short one, 10-minute long. All right. No, and then the other one is 23-minute long, but it's going along in the same vein. So hold on. What we're gonna do? We're gonna bring that up, and we're gonna share screen, and we're gonna cover those two videos because I know once I get started and announce something, I really want to do it. You know what I mean? So hold on. So what we're gonna this one is 23 minutes long. So we're going to run it for 13 minutes, and then the last 10 minutes, we're going to run it again. But in between those two moments, I'm going to make my comments about it. So this video is about 1784. Book tells exactly. Hold on, there's motorcycle going by. Coño, mamá, hueve este maldito hijo de gran puta. 1784 book tells exactly where African Americans came from. Mamá, hueve, cállate la boca. Este maldito motor. Okay, here we go. 1784 book tells exactly where African Americans came from, and it's not where you think. So let's run 13 minutes, and then I'll be right back.
The discovery of the Gold Coast served, indeed, yet more to enlarge the sphere of the navigation of the Portuguese than their slave trade, but it forced them also to extend themselves on the coast and to settle colonies in Congo, Angola, and other places which they had till then neglected. Prince Henry's colonies were enlarged by his successors. King John II, in 1492, expelled all Jews to the island of St. Thomas, Sao Tome, which had been discovered in 1471, and to other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa. And from these banished Jews, the Black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews in Leongo, who are despised even by the very Negroes, are descended.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Go Black to Africa. So many of us out here are doing the hard work in providing for our people to understand who we truly are as a people, especially those who are in Central America, South America, and North America, that these writings that are being found in other countries by their writers, Italy that you saw, I just did a video on, Spain that we're going to find, as well as Portuguese, that their writers, their historians are depicting and showing we people, brothers and sisters who's been over this Atlantic slave trade, were the real Jews. Watch this video, and I'll be back.
The Hibernian Magazine, or the Compendium of Entertaining Knowledge. When was this published? We're going to see. 1784. 1784, the New York Public Library. Right. The discovery of the Gold Coast served, indeed, yet more to enlarge the sphere of the navigation of the Portuguese than their slave trade, but it forced them also to extend themselves on the coast and to settle colonies in Congo, Angola, and other places which they had till then neglected. Prince Henry's colonies were enlarged by his successors. King John II, in 1492, expelled all Jews to the island of St. Thomas, Sao Tome, which had been discovered in 1471, and to other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa. And from these banished Jews, the Black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews in Leongo, who are despised even by the very Negroes, are descended. By these colonists, St. Thomas soon became a considerable place of trade and valuable for its sugar plantations. Valuable for its sugar plantations. Isn't that what we just read? That these Jews that were dropped off here, these Portuguese, these people that were deported by the Portuguese, they had a thriving sugar production. It says the climate proved extremely unwholesome for Europeans.
Now let me say this: those European Portuguese were black, not white. This is and was a black on black crime. Let's continue.
Documents that they were stripped naked and left with alligators and other beasts of prey. This one right here is the first time that I'm showing you that we see that they are black. It says that they are black Jews. Again, published in 1784. These are black Jews. Now, they will try to say, we're reading this out of context and black might not mean black. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's look at another source. Yeah, I'd actually, like I said, this is my third time, I think, recording this. So, yeah, it was open a couple times. So now let's go to 1851, a treatise on physical geography comprising hydrology, geognosy, geology, meteorology, botany, zoology, and anthropology. But I'm showing you guys piece by piece. We know what's one of the scariest side effects of penicillin?
Hold on, hold on.
Anyone who's been up know that there was a place called Jude on the west coast of Africa. We know that they called it that because one of the tribes was the tribe. And now we see that they are called Portuguese. The Portuguese Jews were called black Jews. So now, we'll come down to here. We need go no further. This is, oh, let me get this right. Again, a treatise on physical geography, published 1851. See what other information we can find. And Northwestern University. This is where they got the original from. Northwestern University, 1851. So now, when these urban apologists keep telling you that they debunked all this stuff, make them show you the receipts. Make them show you a video or a peer-reviewed paper showing they debunked this document from Northwestern University. So right here, we need go no further than the Jews of southern Spain. Remember, the Jews from Spain went into Portugal, and compare them with those of Holland and northern Germany to perceive a very striking difference. The Spanish Jew is always dark complexion, and his hair is uniformly black, whilst the German Jew is often as fair as any German and has light or red hair with blue eyes. The various shades of color observable among the Negro or African race tends to the same conclusion. Along the coast of Guinea, which is low, marshy and hot, we find jet black complexions, and this is the very country from which American Negroes have been derived. Again, the various shades of color observable among the Negroes or African race tends to the same conclusion. Along the coast of Guinea, which is low, marshy, and hot, we find jet black complexions, and this is the very country from which the American Negroes have derived. They're talking about the western coast of Africa, where they put those black Jews.
Now, let me make a reference here. A lot of people are under the misconception that the transatlantic slave trade happened from the continent of Africa to the Americas. That was not, and that is not true. It happened in reverse. From the Americas to Europe, then the west coast of Africa, and back again to the Americas. So the ones that they picked up were the Jews of Portugal and Spain after being kicked out in 1492, or whatever the case may have been through that era of transportation. You also got to remember that through those wars as well, at the 10-year war, 30-year war, and what have you, a lot of so-called black people were shipped, like the Black Irish, the Danes, the Scots, and so on and so forth, were shipped to the Americas, along with the pale skins as well, better known as the Tomahawks. This is not a joke. This is not a game. This is not a lie. But there's some deeper implications that are involved. So let's continue.
Now, this is from Hannah Adams. Now, that was the picture I had up when we first started, and I said we'd come back to it. So let me pull up Hannah Adams again. Hannah Adams is this lady right here. This lady right here. So now, we're going to talk about Hannah Adams because they claim that we're making this history up. So now we know the Portuguese Jews are black. We verified that in two sources. There's going to be more. There's going to be more to come. We know that the Portuguese Jews are connected to West Africa. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. So now she has her book. I'm gonna read this in two parts. So her book, you read the regular page and it continues just like a regular book. But then in the notes section, when you read it, it continues over to the next page, almost like a tiny book within her book. So first I'm gonna read the main part, and then I'm gonna come back and read the notes. So right here, the Spanish and Portuguese Jews claim their descent from the tribe of Judah. So now all this stuff is connected. So the people on the west coast of Africa called Judah or a Judah or Wida or Wida are connected. They were believed to be Jews. We've seen that from a French source and a non-French source. I believe it was an English source. We see that. We see that they are black. We see that they were deported from Portugal because they fled from Spain. Now, the Spanish and Portuguese Jews claim their descent from the tribe of Judah. Now we're getting down to specific tribes. We're getting down to a specific tribe here. And found these pretensions on a supposition which prevails among them that many of their ancestors removed or were sent into Spain at the time of the Babylonian captivity.
Hey, I'm Joey, and I'm one of the 30 AI voices from SpeechLab. You listen to this video.
In consequence of this supposed superiority, they till very lately would not by intermarriage or otherwise incorporate with their brethren of other nations. They had separate synagogues, and if a Portuguese Jew, even in England or Holland, married a German Jewess, he was immediately expelled from the synagogue, deprived of every civil and ecclesiastical right, and ejected from the body of the nation. A late instance has occurred of a Jew in Berlin, this is Germany, who having married the daughter of a Portuguese physician, the parents of the girl went into mourning as for the death of a relation. The manner of the Portuguese Jews differ from the rest of the nation and are more polished. They have nothing peculiar in their dress. The opulent among them vie with the other nations of Europe in refinement, elegance, and show, and they differ from them in worship only. In Portugal, the name of a Jew is a term of such high reproach that the government found it necessary to enact a law which forbade any person to call another by that appellation. If a man who is styled a Jew to his face stabs the offender, the law does not condemn him, and trifling as this regulation may appear, it has produced beneficial effects. So now, the name Jew was outlawed to the point that if you called someone a Jew, they could stab you and not be held guilty. Yale is a university. This map is from 1774, Yale. So the first thing I'm going to show you, because her and Damon Richardson lied and said Judah wasn't on the west coast of Africa, it wasn't named after them. So the first thing I'm going to show you is a map from 1774. This is Africa, performed by the Senior Danville under the patronage of the Duke of Orleans, revised and improved by Mr. Bolden and E. Bowen. Emmanuel Bowen is the one who made the map that we see the most. I believe it's the 1747 map. We see that the most because it's part of his famous collection in which it shows Judah on the west coast of Africa, Kingdom of Judah. And they say that that map has been debunked. But here Emmanuel Bowen works on another map that they claim that, remember, they will tell you that they've debunked a lot of the Israelite evidence. Yet they don't touch this map right here, 1774, another map Emmanuel Bowen worked on for the Duke of Orleans. We're going to look at this map bigger. Still, you see library.yale.edu. This map has been enlarged already because it's such a large file. It takes a few seconds to get bigger. So Negrisha. Now, remember, she said we misinterpret this evidence. We make this evidence up, right? Now, I'm going to build a case. I'm going to slowly build this case up because I want you to see how thoroughly and how much information there is for her to sit there and lie and say this information outright does not exist. So right here, according to Idrisi, the land hereabout was peopled by Jews. According to Idrisi, the land hereabout was peopled by Jews. This is the west coast of Africa. You can see this right here. This is the area I'm looking in, right here where the yellow box is. This is the area, Lamlin, right here. Now we come down here and read this square right here. It says, all Negrisha from the head of the Sanaga is very little known, but the situation of this great region as described by Ptolemy, joined with the knowledge of Idrisi, the Nubian geographer, and Leo the African, agrees with several new discoveries, all uniting to verify their accounts. I therefore conclude that the Niger flows from west to east and has an affinity with the Sanaga, or has no affinity with the Sanaga or any part thereof, but falls into the lakes that communicate with the river Nile. So now, he's talking about the Niger River. The Niger River is going to come up again, and that's why I read that. So now this area right here is peopled by Jews. The Niger River is mentioned here. You see the kingdom of the Homie, whose prince subdued the states of Ardra and Wida, W-I-D-A, pay attention to the spelling, about the year 1724. You see Ardra here, you see Wida here, on the slave coast. Ardra, Wida. Remember Wida, W-I-D-A. So now, this map, all these links will be in the description to the maps and everything else. So now, right here, this is a French website, gallica.bnf.fr. This is a French website. This is from 1890, May 1st, 1890. So we go down to here. Let me make sure. All right, text. Now I'm going to copy part of this text, right? Wida, Vita, we're going to grab this right here. Now, their whole point was, we're going to come back to this. I'm going to pull her up again. Their whole point was that Wida was not named after the tribe of Judah. So now what I'm going to do is a French to English translation, and I'm going to paste the text into here that I just copied. Now, according to Google Translate, see me do this right here. Wida, Vita, Weda, or Wida, Judah, or a Judah is a city old, frequented since the 16th century by Portuguese slavers. This word is split up, it's supposed to be Portuguese. Portuguese slavers who gave it its name. Its inhabitants were said to be Judoquays, and they were indeed considered to be a remnant of scattered tribes of Israel to the north. The Alala River, whose real name is Ephra, had become Euphrates for scholars. So now, it says they were indeed considered to be a remnant of scattered tribes of Israel. So now we are establishing that this land called Wida or Wida contained people who were said to be one of the scattered tribes of Israel. Right here, this French document, right here, on BNF, or gallica.bnf.fr. This is from French. I'll give you guys the link. This is from Bulletin Society. I'm not going to try to pronounce all this geography. And again, this is from 1890. So now we still haven't tied it to us, though. We've just shown that, yes, there is a place in West Africa named after Judah. It is said that the Jew or tribe who lived there, one of the tribes of Israel, was there. So now, let's see if we can find any consistency in this. So now, the Jews of Spain and Portugal and the Inquisition. This was published in 1877 by Princeton Theological Seminary. So when you hear these urban apologists saying they debunk the Israelite sources, ask them to show you the video or documentation of them debunking this source from Princeton Theological Seminary. Ask them to show you the source or the video of them debunking the map from Yale. Ask them to show you these things because they keep making these claims. So anyway, the Jews of Spain and Portugal, we're on page 68 of 148. The link will be in the description for you to read yourself. You can see it's not a screenshot. This is the whole book. If I do this, the page will turn. All right. Thus was Spain deprived of her large Jewish population. The synagogues were purified and used as Christian churches. The vast sums of money which were owed, and the still larger amounts which they were forced to leave behind them found their way partly into the hands of their debtors, or still more into those of the sovereign. The chief professors of medicine were sent out of the country to the terrible inconvenience of the population, and trade to the terrible inconvenience of the population, and trade and industry languished till they almost died out. Unfortunately, at the time of the expulsion,
This AI technology turns text into animated videos featuring real humans who speak anything.
The plague was raging in Castile, and the fugitives brought with them propagated wherever they went. It's not unnatural with causing their advent to be viewed with loathing and horror. It is certain their departure from Portugal, for which purpose ships were duly provided according to the agreement. But such was the temper of the captains and sailors that they subjected the Jews to the hardest possible conditions. They plundered them of their goods and valuables, even to their very clothes, and landed them naked and bare of everything on barren points of the African coast, leaving them to die of starvation or to be sold into slavery to the Moors. Nor was this all. The king wrested from their parents all children from between the ages of 3 and 10 of those Jewish immigrants whom who from poverty or otherwise had omitted to pay the capitation tax on entering, or who were forced to remain in Portugal and had them transported to the newly discovered islands of St. Thomas, which is the same as Sao Tome, which then swarmed with alligators and other beasts of prey to be brought up as Christians. So he's telling you, excuse me, the Jews were deported out of Portugal because they didn't pay the tax, and they had their children stripped away and sent to this island where there were alligators and other beasts of prey. This is another source from Princeton Theological Seminary, published 1882, The Earth and Its Inhabitants. Right here, page 320 of 628. The link will be in the description. East of Great Popo begins the Dahomey territory, guarded by the important town of Glewe, known to Europeans by the various names of Fida, Hasida, Wida, or Wida, W-I-D-A. I told you to remember that because of the map. W-I-D-A, W-I-D-A, same place. It's important to establish this so the urban apologists can't wiggle their way out of anything. Same place. So let me get back. The old writers called it Judah. So now we know why the 1747 Emmanuel Bowen map says Judah. Now we know why this one says Witta. It says, and its inhabitants were said to be Jews.
Wow, I done went way over my 13 minutes, but I'm going to let it play out.
While the neighboring river Alala, whose real name is Ephra, became the Euphrates. Didn't we just read that in the French source? That they were believed to be a tribe of Israel. So now we have two different sources here. Two different sources. All right. So now, anyway, this was published 1882. Two different sources. The other one was published 1890. So this one predates that source by 8 years. 8 years. So we have two sources saying that these are definitely Judah. And it says, during the flourishing days of the slave trade, from 16 to 18,000 were annually transported from a Judah, as the Portuguese called this place, which at the time had a population of 35,000. The titular deity of Witta is the snake, and the famous fetish temple is served by priestesses called mothers or sisters of serpents, and recruited by the abduction of young girls on feast days. So some of them will tell you that it couldn't have been Israel because they worshiped the snake, and I would encourage you to go look up Nehushtan in the Bible. It was the brass serpent that Moses made that they began to worship. So snake worship isn't outside of Israel's history. But understand here, the Portuguese were calling them this. Why were the Portuguese calling them this? Because the Portuguese were the ones deporting Jews to West Africa. So of course they called it Judah. So now we still haven't established anything specific as to whether they were black or European. So let's continue.
If you're a business owner, then animated explainer videos are the best way to capture attention.
This book right here, brown.edu. So when the urban apologists come and say they debunked our sources, make sure you get the receipts that they debunked this document from brown.edu. Portuguese exploration to the west and the formation of Brazil, 1450 to 1800. So I went ahead and went down to page 17, brown.edu. You want to go down to page 17. You want to go to point 14 right here. Now listen to what happened to these people, and you tell me if you believe that European children did this. Just tell me if you think this makes sense, happening off the west coast of Africa, where we just read that there were alligators and other beasts of prey. It says, by the year 1470, the Portuguese had found the equatorial island of Sao Tome. It's the same as St. Thomas, in the Ghanaian Gulf off the African coast. The climate proved to be extremely unwholesome for Europeans. Extremely unwholesome for Europeans. And settlement was slow. The official chronicler of King Jao II, that's King John, Garcia de Rezende, reports on one of the methods to populate this island that also throws some light on a tragic form of Jewish participation in the Portuguese Atlantic Empire. The king had allowed Jewish refugees from Spain, from where they had been expelled in 1492. Notice the consistency. She said we misinterpret history. To remain in Portugal only in return for payment of an enormous ransom. In 1493, those who could not pay had their children taken away from them. baptized by force, and deported to Sao Tome in order to be raised as Christians and to help populate the island that the king had just leased to Alvaro de Camina at the annual rent of 100,000 reis. Nothing is known of their further fate, although later chroniclers attribute the thriving sugar production on the island to the talents of those deported children and their offspring. So now she wants you to believe that white people were stripped butt naked, thrown in West Africa with alligators, beasts of prey, white children, and somehow survived to develop a thriving sugar economy. This is what the urban apologists want you to believe.
What do you think? Let me say this in closing. I'm going to continue on to find the truth. And the end of this year, I will be in Portugal, Spain, as well as in Morocco. And it's going to give me an awesome opportunity to connect, hopefully with some guides out there and historians that we can unpeel the lie that has been told about those who were already settled in these countries, who were considered the Jews, who were dispelled and kicked out, where they were scattered on the islands and even on the coast of Africa. Stay tuned as I begin to show you more proof. This is your man, not your boy. Go black to Africa. Think about it, 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 think about it.
All right, that's a wrap on that one. So we're gonna go to the next one. And I really don't have a comment as to what he was talking about. It's pretty plain and simple. That this lady by the name of Hannah Adams was a black woman, all right, a Portuguese Jew. Plain and simple, really easy to understand. But what's not easy to do is to let go of the lie that's been told. All right. So where are we at? We are okay. So I still got that up. We're gonna go to the next video, right? So this is the next video. 10 minutes long, and I'll be right back.
What's up, family? This is your man, not your boy. Bringing you another gold nugget that you can either pick up or you can just kick it aside. Now, before you go into the presentation, let me say this right here. I will be in Morocco, Portugal, as well as Spain next month, diving into their history to show and prove to you all, even based upon what you're going to see in the presentation, these European writers, historians, or these authors who show and prove that those who were expelled out of that region were Jews. Matter of fact, let's clarify it, black Jews. So sit back and watch this presentation. It'll be a 3-part because I know you all don't like to listen or watch videos over 5 minutes, but these will be about 8 minutes. So stay tuned to the upcoming building blocks of knowing not only who you are, but who our ancestors were when they had to get on these slave ships, shipped over to Brazil, Central America, and even North America. And you're going to see the important part of how you play the significant role in the Bible that they call it, so that you understand we have to stand up, rise up, and be righteous in the eyes of the Most High. Watch this video, and I hope you add this to your library of information.
We're going to start with a new voyage to Italy. We're going to begin on page 139. All right, and we're going to start right down here. It reads, "Tis also a vulgar error that the Jews are all black, for this is only true of the Portuguese Jews, who marrying always amongst one another, beget children like themselves, and consequently the swarthiness of their complexion is entailed upon the whole race, even in the northern regions. So, according to this source, it is just verifying the fact that the Portuguese Jews were black, or are black. Also, they marry amongst one another, therefore their children are swarthy. If you didn't know, swarthy is just a complexion of dark, so they beget dark children like themselves. So let's continue to build on with the next source, and it's from the History of the Jews by Hannah Adams. And we're going to start on page 180. We're going to start right here where it says the Spanish and Portuguese Jews claim their descent from the tribe of Judah. In consequence of this supposed superiority, they have not to lately married or in any way
Hold on.
incorporated with their brethren of other nations. They had separate synagogues, and if a Portuguese Jew, even in England or Holland, married a German Jew, she was immediately expelled from the synagogue. So this source right here is just highlight.
Now, what I like about this is that our ancestors were very strict about being with their own. If you went outside of your own people to marry somebody that's not your people, you got banned. And I truly believe we need to do that again. I call that, kumbaya bullshit. There you go.
The fact that the Spanish and Portuguese Jews claim their descent from the tribe of Judah. And also, it was just piggybacking off the last source or confirming that they only marry amongst one another by saying that they wouldn't even incorporate themselves with their other brethren or other nations or the other tribes. So they live separately. They would only marry with one another. But let's continue to build. With this next source I got, I'm going to bring out another witness. It's from Legitimate Magazine, a History Chronicle. I'm going to start on page 12. I'm going to read right here. And it says the Spanish Jews are the true descendants from the tribe of Judah in the royal house of David, and were settled in Spain from the time of the captivity of the first temple by Nebuchadnezzar. So, here we go with our second source letting us know that the Spanish and Portuguese Jews are the true descendants of the tribe of Judah. But another key thing to take away from this source is that it let us know that they were settled in Spain from the time of the captivity of the first temple by Nebuchadnezzar. Now, if you know, that's biblical. So they've been settled in Spain, or at least some of the tribe of Judah has been settled in Spain for a pretty long time. But like I said, we're building the puzzle pieces, we're putting the pieces together. So far, we got that they were black and that they were from the tribe of Judah. So let's continue to build with the next source, and we're just going to be focusing on the
Pay attention, pay attention.
Rabbi. All you can do, you can read a simple Wikipedia search or Google search, you'll find
where the word Negro come from.
So, Yahya ben Rabbi, also known as Yahya the Negro, was a Portuguese nobleman. He was reputed to be a direct descendant from the Hebrew exilarchus. Ancient.
Yahya, I mean, God, I hate that fucking, excuse my friend, but I hate that damn motorbike. It's fucking late. Why are you riding on the way you going? Get your ass in the house. But anyway, Yahya means El Negro. And a lot of the rabbis coming out of Spain and Portugal took on the last name of El Negro or Yahya. Be aware of that, know that, and it's true. Lord of the Aldea dos Negros. So you see a lot of Sephardic Jews took on that during the reign of King Alfonso I of Portugal and beyond. And it says Ben Rabbi was the son of Yaish ibn Yahya, or the Negro. And a lot of people took on that name. I'll continue.
Babylon, they claim direct descent from the biblical King David. He was the progenitor of Ibn Yahya family. So, we have a Portuguese nobleman by the name of Yahya the Negro, who claimed to be direct descent from the Hebrews that claim direct descent from King David. So, my question to you all is, why would a Jew have the last name Negro or be called or referred to as a Negro unless he was black or unless he is a Negro? You see what I'm saying? So why would a so-called Jew have the surname or last name or be called the Negro? It's just question to put on.
Would you like to learn to play worship piano? Well, I'm a former Nashville pro, and I've developed a system.
Put on top of your head. That's another piece of the puzzle. Let's go ahead and put it together. History of the Jews by Heinrich G. We're going to begin in the middle passage on page 339. And it reads, Abravanel was not the only Jewish favorite at Alfonso's court. Two brothers, Abin and Yachia Negro, also frequented the court of Lisbon. They were sons of a certain Don David, who had recommended them not to invest their rich inheritance into real estate, for he saw that banishment was in store for the Portuguese Jew. So, here we have another source giving us examples of Jews with the last name Negro. So again, I asked, why would Jews have the last name Negro? It says here we have two Portuguese brothers, Abin and Yachia Negro, who also frequented visit the court of Lisbon. So, are we known as Negroes today? Exactly. With this being said, they carried the surname Negro or last name Negro because they were Negroes, but because they were black. But let's continue on. Another interesting thing to take away from this source is that it lets us know later on that he saw that banishment was in store for the Portuguese Jews. So what? He told them to not invest their rich inheritance in real estate. So far, we have the Jews was black. We have they came from the tribe of Judah, and we have examples of them having the last name or surname Negro. So let's continue to build with this next source. So 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro with Complete Proof by J.A. Rogers. And we're going to start right here with the Negro Jews of West Africa. So the Negro Jews of West Africa have so-called Semitic profiles. So let me stop right there. I know y'all been seeing it, all the stuff that's going around in the media, Nick Cannon, Deshaun Jackson, all these people being labeled anti-Semitic for saying that we are the Semitic peoples. If you do your research, you'll find out that we are, and that we really are the true Jews. That's what I'm trying to point out here. So next time you hear somebody say, oh, a black person is being anti-Semitic, just remember that they can't, because more than likely, they are the true Semitic people, or they come from a Semitic person. So let's read again. Let's start over from the beginning. It reads, the Negro Jews of West Africa have so-called Semitic profiles. In France, Spain, and Portugal, there are Negroid Jews with woolly hair. Feel your hair. What kind of hair you got? The Portuguese Jews are the aristocrats of Jewry and show considerable Negroid strains. Let me start over and read this again. In France, Spain, and Portugal, there are Negroid Jews with woolly hair. The Portuguese Jews are the aristocrats of Jewry and show considerable Negro strain. So, according to the 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro is a Jew. Jews are Negroid people. Makes sense to why the Portuguese Jews will have a surname Negro or be called the Negro, which is a Spanish word for black. So once again, this source is just confirming that the Jews are Negroid people, that the Jews are Negroes.
Think about it, think about it, think about it, think about it, think about it.
All right, you heard it. And now it's just a matter of accepting it. All of the evidence is there. What the people, they call themselves to be Jews in the Middle East and other places throughout Europe, they're not the real McCoy. Want the real McCoy. That real McCoy are black people. So now, you know what? I really don't want to do that because I'm getting tired. It's 10:30 at night in the Dominican Republic. But I talked about it, but I'm going to do it. So what we're going to do, it's not that long, at least it's not 2 hours. And but we're going to break it down in 25-minute segments because it's 52 minutes. And I think by the time you finish this video, you're going to understand the back and forth, the flow of this so-called transatlantic slave trade and what it means and who started and what happened. Because a lot of the people who were coming over here are crypto Jews, Huguenots. All right? And they played an important part in the first, second, and third Continental Congresses in the formation of the United States of America or the Republic of America. And like I was saying before, with Elias, we're living now in a dead, defunct America corporation. So we're going back to the Republic, the Constitutional Republic of America, or however it is. So let's get started. We're gonna do 25 minutes because I know my wife is looking at me like I'm crazy, but I said I put it on here on the bar here to do. So it's not, at least it's not that long. So let's get at it and let's start. The shocking truth about 1619.
How far would you be willing to go to find the truth? If the truth could set you free and unlock Bible prophecies, would you be willing to drive halfway across the country? Or would you be willing to fly halfway around the world? Well, I know I would. Go by. I am Benaiah Ben Israel, a historian by hobby, however, a software engineer by trade. You see, I worked for various corporations over the years, such as IBM and AT&T and many others, working from technical support to an IT architect, and blessed by the Heavenly Father with the gift to figure things out, who allowed me to author 2 United States software patents for mobile phones. You see, the Heavenly Father has trained me to think outside of the box, to find solutions when others would settle for the status quo. And that's why I would like to share with you some unconventional, undeniable findings guarding the true children of Israel. Using old references, analytical analysis, this truth may change your life forever. And with that, let's start by taking a trip to Washington, D.C., the nation's capital, to visit the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Let's set our course for the truth. After arriving in Washington, D.C., a friend recommended that I park at the Ronald Reagan Building and International Trade Center. The building offers underground parking, which travels multiple levels underground. And ironically, the parking deck being near capacity that day, the only space that I could find was in a dark, tight section of the parking deck called Egypt. No, seriously, it was called Egypt. No doubt a sign of things to come.
And so after emerging from the depths of the Ronald Reagan building, like a confused groundhog, I walked down 14th Street to the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Now, just an FYI, per its website, it reads, the National Museum of African American History and Culture is the only national museum devoted exclusively to the documentation of African American life, history, and culture. It was established by an act of Congress in 2003, following decades of efforts to promote and highlight the contributions of African Americans. To date, the museum has collected more than 40,000 artifacts and nearly 100,000 individuals have become members. The museum opened to the public on September 24th, 2016 as the 19th museum of the Smithsonian Institute. Now, when walking towards the museum, I noticed that the building's strange ethnic shape stands out from its heavily Greek and Roman influenced neighboring buildings. And then upon reaching the museum, which starts at the bottom floor, I was impressed, as I'm sure others were, at its scale and grandeur, which was built at a total cost of $540 billion. There you have it. The complete summary of the African American history captured in a national museum, starting from slavery to emancipation to Reconstruction, all the way up to today, and wrapped in a beautiful $540 billion edifice. However, while I'm thankful for the $1 million donors who contributed to helping construct this Washington, D.C. masterpiece, I did, however, notice some glaring omissions in the retelling of African American history. For example, How can we retell the history of the transatlantic slave trade without even mentioning and reading the actual Portuguese law which started the transatlantic slave trade, called the Manuelian Ordinances? A copy of these transatlantic slave trade laws can be found in the Portuguese National Archives. And if it's important enough to store in the Portuguese National Archives, well, shouldn't it be important enough to display in the National African American Museum?
Pay attention.
There's something there that they don't want you to see. Something that's arguably the greatest revelation of modern times. You see, the specific Portuguese Manuelian Ordinance stored in the National Archives, which govern the transatlantic slave trade, is located in Book 5, Title 112. And this law, written before slaves were shipped from Africa in 1518, would later be enforced March 15th, 1518, by King Emmanuel's authorization and executioner Captain Bernardino Gomez, who was given authority to order all the Jews who had fled to West Africa from Portugal and Spain without the king's permission, ordered to return to Portugal or be hunted by manhunters, brought before Portuguese authorities in West Africa, and that would be in Elmina, Sao Tome, and Angola, and to be sold as slaves. Now, not only did the Portuguese king send Bernardino Gomez to entice African chiefs to hunt, capture, and enslave outlaw Jews, he also authorized, for the very first time, the procuring, the purchasing, and shipping of slaves from the west coast of Africa. Oh, hold on, just for a moment. Let's pause just for a moment. Because what I want to do is that I want to show you how you can reproduce our findings either at home or at any institution of learning by just following these steps. Are you ready? Let's go. Step 1. Grab a copy of the untranslated Manuelian Ordinance from either the Portuguese National Archive or from a reputable source. Step 2. Find someone that's fluent in ancient Portuguese language. Not modern Portuguese language, but ancient Portuguese language. Why? Because there is a difference. Step 3. And most importantly, when translating the text of the Manuelian Ordinance, it is critical that you take a verbatim translation and not an interpretation. Why? Because an interpretation can leave out or insert critical phrases or words while translating. On multiple times, we had to resubmit translation requests to our sources because we were given interpretations which left out whole sentences and phrases or inserted phrases not found in the original text. For example, check out the Webster definition of interpretation. And let's read the second definition on the screen. And it says, a particular adaptation or version of a work, method, or style. Or number 3 reads, a teaching technique that combines factual with stimulating explanatory information. We don't want the combined information family. We want the word-for-word translation, and that is called verbatim. So check out the Webster definition of verbatim, which reads, in the exact words or word-for-word. This is what we want, family, when we do these translations. We want the exact words, word for word. All right. And then the last thing that you'll need in order to reproduce our findings is step 4, and reads, use multiple translation sources if possible. It's always good to have multiple sources saying the same thing. Okay. All right. And so if you follow these steps, we should be able to reproduce our findings and confirm that this is indeed arguably the greatest discovery in modern times for the so-called African American. Now, where were we? Oh yeah, beautiful $540 million African American museum, missing critical events and documents such as the actual Portuguese law governing slavery. And with that, let's take a look at some additional exhibits from the museum to see what else is missing from its depiction of African American history. Well, would you look at this? I did not expect to see this in the African American Museum. One of the most important paintings related to the start of the transatlantic slave trade. Hardly known by the general public, and yet prominently displayed and arranged in plain sight. And a beautiful exhibit of glass and lights. However, noticeably lacking a critical basic component. Context. Context and a description of the history depicted within the painting. You see, the painting is called The King's Fountain, and it is a window into the day in the life of the port city of Lisbon, Portugal in the 1500s. Now, the painting itself is estimated to have been created in the mid to late 1500s, and most importantly, depicted in the painting in the city of Lisbon, shortly after the establishment of the Inquisition. One of the most destructive, impactful, violent, disruptive institutions of all times, operating within Lisbon, authorized by Pope Paul II, by order of Palpable Meditatio Cordis, which assigned his brother, Cardinal Dom Henrique, as General Inquisitor of Portugal and its overseas domains. It was the beginning of the spreading of a great evil upon the earth. The painting captures and illustrates the execution of the barbarous acts of the kings of Portugal and the Inquisition upon the Israelite population of Lisbon, Portugal, less than 10 years before the start of the transatlantic slave trade, by the countries who started the transatlantic slave trade. For it was by the order of the king and the Inquisition which played their parts in Jacob's trouble. And this was only the beginning. Now, initially it was by the order of King John II, followed by King Emmanuel I of Portugal, who ordered that the children of Israel, of the house of Judah, be violently separated from their parents and beat with clubs. Now notice on the painting of Lisbon, you'll see an officer armed with a club, with two officers dragging away the child with presumably the mother following close behind. And also notice they are moving towards the water, where the ships will be waiting to carry away the child of Judah to Africa. Now also notice that in the painting, in the direction where the officers were leaving from, you'll notice a man, apparently the child's father, beaten, bloodied, and murdered, with a device covering his face while his body is burned in the city square for all to see. And if you ever wondered, how do you create a people who do not know who they are or know their history? Well, the answer is simple. It's captured in this painting. You separate them from their parent, put them on board of a ship, and steal them away to the west coast of Africa. As the following reference reads, Barbara states that in the reign of King John II, and about the close of the 15th century, large numbers of Jews were expelled from Portugal and taken to the coast of southern Guinea, which is the west coast of Africa. That the island of St. Thomas, which is not more than 100 miles from the mainland, was populated by mulattoes, descendant from the Jewish exiles and Angola women. And the next reference reads, the first design of settling there was in the year 1486, but perceiving how many perished in the attempt, and that they could better agree with that of the continent on the coast of Guinea, it was resolved by King John II of Portugal that all the Jews within his dominion, which were vastly numerous, should be obliged to receive baptism, or upon refusal, be transported to the coast of Guinea, where the Portuguese had already several considerable settlements and a good trade, considering the time since its first discovery. And the next reference reads, King John II in 1492 expelled all the Jews to the island of St. Thomas, which had been discovered in 1471, and to other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa. And from these banished Jews, the Black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews of the Wango, who are despised even by the very Negroes, are descended. Look, I know it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It just is. I mean, I could hardly believe it myself. However, in the books, in the old books, the books published just before the 1850s, and that's not all. Like, just wait until you hear what they call these Jews. You know, with the heads like short, black, nappy, crispy beards with the curls tight. Like, these are the descriptions of the sons of Judah in Spain and Portugal just before the start of the transatlantic slave trade. City, 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 as he cleared his throat, the king said what he said, the dirty blues, they just gotta go. But desperate for that black ass folk, he tried to trouble Jacob with the shaker that would break his soul. You gotta think again what you gonna do. Cross never mind what you gonna do. With their heads like short black, nappy, crispy beards with their curls tight. It's a vulgar error that these Jews are all black, middle size, good features, the skin somewhat black. Saucy drip like a Shanghai shack. Make you pressure your professor to see the parallax. Old books discussing how these street right facts. Shifting paradigms, foundational cracks. You see these fools were the original blacks for 400 years, and it's time to turn back. You gotta think ahead what you gonna do. Cross never mind what you gonna do. With their heads like short black, because we beards with their curls tight. And so, according to old books, these Spanish and Portuguese Jews were considered black, dark, swarthy, and brown complexion. As the following reference reads, the Spanish Jew is always dark complexion. His hair is uniformly white, while the German Jew is often as fair as a German as white. And the next reference reads, this one people is marked with the colors of all, fair and rich in Germany, brown in France and Turkey, swarthy in Portugal and in Spain. And the next reference reads, he was of a middle size. He had good features in his face, the skin somewhat black, black curly hair, long eyebrows, and of the same color, so that one might easily know by his looks that he was descended from Portuguese Jews. And the next reference reads, a tall, thin, very black man, like a Spaniard or Jew, about 50 years old. And the next reference reads, It is also a vulgar error that the Jews are all black, for this is only true of the Portuguese Jews, who marrying always among one another, beget children like themselves, and consequently the swarthiness of their complexion is entailed upon their whole race, even in the northern regions. And the next reference reads, lips very full, mouth projecting, chin small, and the whole physiognomy, when swarthy, as it often is, has an African look. And the next reference reads, there are some Jews still lingering in the valley of the Jordan, having been oppressed by successive conquerors of Syria for ages, a low race of people, and described by trustworthy travelers as being as black as any of the Ethiopian races. All right, well, as you can see, Spanish and Portuguese Jews are black. In fact, they are so black that when they got sick, they called it the Black Plague. And when the Inquisition persecuted these black Jews, they called the Inquisition book the Black Book. And when the church tried to deny the atrocities committed against these black Jews, they called it the Black Legend. And then when they came up with a nickname for the Jews of Spain and Portugal, they called them the Black Portuguese or the Negro Portuguese. And when scientists looked at the skulls of Black Portuguese, they called them dolichocephalic, which is.
All right, so we're at the halfway mark, and I'm just going to let it play out without any comment being made by me. So it's pretty much, self-evident, and the evidence is there. So I'm going to let it play out, and then I'll wrap it up.
The skull of the black man. And in fact, some of the sons of the house of Judah, of Spain and Portugal, gave themselves the Spanish last name of black. That's right. The sons of King David took on the last name of Negro.
Now remember, we saw that before. Yeah.
Reads, the Spanish Jews are the true descendants from the tribe of Judah and the royal house of David, and were settled in Spain from the time of the captivity of the first temple by Nebuchadnezzar. And the next reference reads, the Spanish Jews maintain that they had been transported hither after the destruction of the temple by the Babylonian conqueror Nebuchadnezzar. Certain Jewish families, the Ibn Daouds and the Abarbanels, both descend from the royal house of David, and maintain that their ancestors have been settled since time immemorial, partly in the district of Lucena and partly in the environs of Toledo and Seville. You see, the lineage of the royal black Jews of Spain and Portugal goes from King David to King Solomon to King Jeconiah, who was taken into Babylon, to Zerubbabel, who came out of Babylon, to Yahya Negro in Spain and Portugal, who changed his last name to Negro, along with his descendants. As the following reference reads, Yahya, Portuguese family of the Middle Ages, members of which were prominent in Portugal, Spain, Italy, and Turkey. Certain individuals of the family bore the additional cognomen or last name, Negro, with reference to the Moors from whom several of their estates have been obtained. And the next reference reads, Portugal, on territory reconquered from the Moors in 1139, in reward for military service on Hayya's sons, Yahya bin Rabbi, was presented by Alfonso with the Moorish village and became known as Lord Aldea dos Negro, or Dom Yahya or Negro. His son, Yahya bin Yaish, was born in Cordoba in 1110 or 1115. He also served Alfonso and was designated by the king as the first chief rabbi of Portugal, with his headquarters in Lisbon. And so you have to wonder, why doesn't the $540 million African American Museum, at the very least, mention a place in Portugal called the Village, who had last names of Negroes, who had dark skin and skulls of Negroes, and hair like Negroes, and shipped to the west coast of Africa to the exact same places where the transatlantic slave trade would start from less than 10 years later. Or perhaps it's because the curators of the museum don't believe that the Black, Spanish, Portuguese, Jews are related to Black African Americans, who are also called Negroes, who came from the west coast of Africa. You see, many of so-called African Americans today have the exact same names as many Spanish and Portuguese Jews, and they don't even know. But maybe you're thinking, wait, these Spanish and Portuguese Jews never made it to the shores of Jamestown, Virginia in 1619, where they would be enslaved and afflicted for 400 years, did they? Let's take a closer look. The treasure, the ship that slipped through the dark waters of the Atlantic Ocean in January of 1619 and headed towards the Bermuda Island, a conspicuous colonial vessel hidden among the tall, long shadows of the Caribbean Sea, where she would sit and wait and be joined by another hunter, a Dutchman of war. Called the Fleming, made up of both English and Dutch crew. These two ships, the Treasurer and the Fleming, would set off together on a hunt to spill Spanish blood and to confiscate her provisions for food and water and slaves. They scanned the horizon until the San Juan Bautista came into view. They emerged from the fog. These two ships closed on them until their guns and cannons were in range. Unfortunately, a veil of secrecy hid the details of what happened that fateful day. For you see, what transpired was clandestine, illegal, and street piracy. And these two ships, the Treasurer and the Fleming, would soon discover the magnitude of their brazen acts. And as they turned and made their way back to Jamestown, Virginia, both ships had payloads of Negro slaves. Now, the Fleming would arrive first, just outside of Jamestown, Virginia, at Point Comfort, for she reached the port just a few days ahead of the Treasurer, where she would unload her now infamous 20 and odd Negroes. The names of which are only partially known. However, even less is known of the slaves that were aboard the Treasury, who reached Point Comfort a few days after the Fleming. You see, her slaves aren't even listed in history books at all. Now, there are some rumors that these slaves were turned back and sent to another location, while other historians are convinced that the slaves aboard the Treasury also disembarked at Jamestown. Either way, these enslaved people would be the cause of a great scandal that would reverberate across England, Spain, and the Netherlands. Because during the time of the raid, both England, Dutch had treaties with Spain not to raid their ships. And this act was a breach of the truce. And as far as the colony was concerned, they couldn't deny any association with the Flint. However, the Treasury was their ship, and it would undoubtedly lead Spain right back to Jamestown. This caused great fear in Jamestown and was the reason they sent the Treasury away from the colony. However, what do we know about the 20 and odd Negroes that were aboard the Fleming that did disembark at Jamestown, Virginia? What were their names and who were they? Jamestown, Virginia. James.
Here we go.
Derived from the name Jacob. In other words, Jamestown, Virginia actually means Jacobstown. And in this town of Jacob, we witnessed the arrival of 20 and odd Negroes in the fall of 1619. And it hides a great secret. You see, we know that these slaves were originally carried aboard a Spanish ship called the San Juan Bautista. And we also know that some of these slaves had Spanish names, some of whom retained even after living among English settlers for years. And so, by name, many of these slaves were simply listed as Negro or a Negro. However, out of all the slaves listed on that fateful ship, on that fateful day, only 2 of the slaves are listed by first name and last name. Spanish first names and last name. Referred to as the first black settlers of Jamestown, Virginia. And their names were Anthony and Isabella Negro, as in Yahya Negro, the sons of King Dawid, who lived in Spain and Portugal, landed in Jacobstown in 1619, where they would be enslaved and persecuted for 400 years. Wait, what?
Now, the 400 years, I don't buy that one.
It could be. You mean to tell me that it's been there the whole time, right in front of our faces? Wait. Let's just double check. Let's hold on. Let's just double check. Let's take a look at the U.S. Department of the Interior National Park, which reads, the first African American family, Anthony Negro and Isabel Negro, and William, their child, baptized, found in the Virginia census of 1624, are the first African family recorded in the Chesapeake. And the next reference reads, Norfolk State University. In 1625, Anthony and Isabel had a son named William. The 1625 muster identifies the family as Anthony Negro and Isabel Negro, and William, their child, baptized. And the next reference reads, Anthony Negro and Isabel Negro is how they were known in the 1625 ledger of Captain William Tucker of Elizabeth City, Virginia. We can confirm these statements by looking at the actual 1625 census itself, which lists Jamestown residents by first name and last name. And it is here that we see the first name and last name of Anthony and Isabel Negro. This is a revelation of biblical proportions. However, let's triple check our facts by backtracking the journey of the San Juan Bautista from Luanda, Angola to Seville, Spain, which was the hometown of the sons of King David. As the following reference reads, certain Jewish families, the sons of David and the Abarbanels, boasted descent from the royal house of David, and maintained that their ancestors had been settled since time immemorial, partly in the district of Lucena and partly in the environs of Toledo and Seville. You see, the Hampton History Museum states that in the year of 1660, the San Juan Bautista received a license to transport slaves from authorities in Seville before sailing from the port San Lucar near the city of Seville. It's here that we recognize yet another glaring omission by contemporary historians who failed to note the presence of the gigantic, fully functional Inquisition headquarters in Seville, Spain. For it is during this time that the Spanish Inquisition institutes a strict policy of expulsion of noble males of Judah to Luanda, Angola. In fact, Angola was repeatedly listed as the first stop of exile for noble male Jews. As the following reference reads, when the person condemned for this crime is noble or of such quality that it appears he ought not to undergo the punishment of whipping or galleys, he shall be exiled to Angola. St. Thomas, Hearts of Brazil. In other words, it was the Spanish Inquisition of Seville that shipped nobles of Judah to Luanda, Angola. And then in 1660, the San Juan Bautista, which comes from Seville to San Lucar to Luanda, and ultimately delivers two Spanish captives to Jamestown, Virginia in 1619, who had the last name of Negro, which is the name of the noble sons of King David of Seville, Spain, and all of Iberian Jewry. In fact, if we look up the last name Negro in the Sephardic Israelite Dictionary, it states that before the 1400s, the name Negro meant Yahya, the noble sons of King David. This is only one part of the reason why the year 1619 marks the beginning of the 400-year prophesied captivity and persecution, which leads us to a critical requirement of the 400-year prophecy.
Now, if you're still listening, Brother Maurice, he just said that at the beginning of the 400-year chastisement, according to biblical proportions and or curses or whatever the case may be. Motherfucker, that means we still slaves up until now. 1619 in 400 years, that's 2019, motherfucker. That shit didn't happen. So I think he might be smoking some crack or something. I don't know. But let's continue.
It's by many, and it has to do with the time of the king. The first African American family, Anthony Negro and Isabel Negro, as in Yahya Negro, who is the descendant of King David himself, who started the 400 years of slavery and persecution in what would become the United States of America. You see, to understand the 400 years, you have to understand a biblical concept that I call the king's time. That's the king's time. So throughout Scripture, whenever the Most High would render judgment against a nation, he would render it according to that nation's king. You see, when it comes to nations, the Most High Father deals with kings, king to king. He is an Elohim of order. For example, when the Most High rendered judgment against Egypt, he did what? He dealt directly with Pharaoh, king of Egypt. When the Egyptian army was judged before the eyes of Israel, it was Pharaoh himself, along with his army, that was swallowed up by the Red Sea. It was the king's time. And when the Most High Yah rendered judgment against Assyria, he dealt directly with the king of Assyria, king to king. Isaiah chapter 10, verse 12 reads, "Wherefore it shall come to pass that when Yahuwah has performed his whole work upon Mount Zion, on Jerusalem, I will punish the fruit of the stout heart of the king of Assyria, and the glory of his high looks." Another example can be found with King Belshazzar, king of the Chaldeans. After the Most High wrote the following words on the wall before the face of the king, and shortly thereafter, the king was slain and his nation was conquered. King to king. Daniel chapter 5, verse 25 reads, "And this is the writing that was written, Mene, Mene, Tekel of Harsan. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, Yahuwah has numbered thy kingdom and finished it. And in that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain. And Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old." Yet another example can be found with the king of Babylon, King Nebuchadnezzar, who was also removed by the Most High Yah, and his kingdom removed again, king to king. Daniel chapter 4, verse 30 reads, "The king spake and said, Is not the great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty? While the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, To thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass with oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High Yah ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomever he will." You see, not only does the Most High Yah deal with kings when rendering judgment against the enemies of Israel, the Most High Yah also deals with Israel's king when rendering judgment against the nation of Israel or the nation of Judah. Again, king to king. For example, when the northern kingdom of Israel went into captivity, we once again see the Most High Yah first dealing directly with the king of Israel, king to king. 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 4 reads, "And the king of Assyria fell despair in Hosea, for he had sent messengers to So, king of Egypt, and brought no present to the king of Assyria, as he had done year by year. Therefore, the king of Assyria shut him up and bound him in prison." Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Habar by the river Gozan and in the cities of the Medes. You see, we even see this pattern of the Most High Yah first dealing with the king of a nation before rendering judgment against that nation. We even see this pattern deals with the southern kingdom of Judah. For when the kingdom of Judah went into the Babylonian captivity to fulfill the prophecy of the 70 years in captivity, we see King Jeremiah taken by the king of Babylon, again, king to king. In other words, the time of Judah's captivity is marked by the captivity of the king. Jeremiah chapter 27, Verse 19 reads, For thus says Yahuwah of hosts concerning the pillars, and concerning the sea, and concerning the bases, and concerning the residue of the vessels that remain in the city, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon took not, when he carried away Jeconiah son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, from Jerusalem to Babylon. And all the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem. Yea, thus says Yahuwah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, concerning the vessels that remain in the house of Yahuwah, and in the house of the king of Judah and of Jerusalem, they shall be carried to Babylon, and there shall they be until the day that I visit them, says Yahuwah. Then I will bring them up and restore them to this place. You see, family, when you want to know when to start the time clock for the 400-year prophecy, you need to find an event when the king goes into captivity. And then the time stops when his descendants come out of captivity. In other words, the 400 years is reckoned by the time of the king, which is a pattern found throughout the scriptures. The 400 years doesn't start when a Israelite goes into captivity. It starts when the Israelite goes into captivity, the sons of King David. This is why it's confirmed that the descendants of King David are listed as the first African family in Jamestown, Virginia in 1619, marking the beginning of the 400 years of slavery and oppression. This is why 1619 is the only confirmed date for the 400-year prophecy today. It's the only one that fulfills the pattern of the king.
Now, if you guys understood that, then please explain it to me, because I don't understand it at all. That it depends on the king going into captivity and when he leaves captivity. It says it right there. So, but we'll see. We'll see. But I knew though, I know this.
And with that, now you know the truth about 1619 and the landing of Antony and Isabel Negro, the Negros who are the descendants of King David. And so if you like this documentary, please like and share this video. And click on the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to this channel. Also, if you want to support this channel, you can donate via YouTube Super Sticker or donate via the donation link found in the description of this video. Your donations are greatly appreciated. And so with that, family, stay blessed, Israel. See you next time, and shalom.
All right, well, I'm tired now. We done did this whole video. I'm glad I did do it. And I hope it did give you some light of understanding that perhaps you didn't have before. So that's the whole point and purpose of the videos, and this one in particular, right? So I'm gonna stop this. So yeah, wow, it's like 3 hours. I'm 3.5 hours. Shit. Coño, mamá, huevo, yo quiero irme en la casa, cama, con mi esposa, envolviéndome con ella, me, vamos, no, estoy cansado ya. But anyway, yeah, it's been 3 hours and 30 minutes. I like the video, and I'm hoping that you guys really took to it, understanding the history that is not told. There's many more that we're going to cover this again in more detail. Te lo juro, yo quiero esta maldita. Esa es la casa. Cae la boca, cae de los pobres. Todo de esta maldita vaina porque está jodiendo mi nervio. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Come on, man. Come on, man. These motherfuckers need to go to bed. Stop riding up and down the goddamn streets. I'm starting to get really pissed off. Oh my God. But it is what it is here in the Dominican Republic. But Elias and I are going to do this again. In particular, my book, um, The White Man Burden of Lies in the Seat 1 and 2. Give a real deep um, uh, synopsis of the book or books. I'm working on book 3 right now. If you like book 1 and 2, you're really going to like book 3. And just to wrap it up, I really appreciate you guys who are watching to take note that the people who are calling themselves Jews in the Middle East are not real Jews. They don't give a fuck about tikkun olam, which is the Hebrew word for repairing of the world. If you're a real Jew, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing to innocent children at all. The Palestinians are Semitic. These pale-skinned people like Netanyahu and the rest of these fucking bums, they're not Semitic. And at some point, very, very soon, the Middle East and all its leaders are going to come out and say what needs to be said. Get the fuck out. You don't belong here. You're not real Jews at all. That the people that you consider to be Negroes or niggers or spooks or jungle bunnies or whatever the case may be, these are the real Jews. You've been anti-Semitic against the real people for a very long time. And a lot of so-called white people are waking up to that reality that they've been living a life of lies and deceit, that they are not what and who they say they are because their parents lied to them. All starting with Woodrow Wilson's 10-volume work on race. And he was in charge with the job in the federal level and gotten rid of a lot of black people who were making good money at that point and in favor of these pale skins. And it just spiraled out of control with the daughters of the Confederacy, children of the Confederacy, up to 1940. And from 1940 on, it was on and popping. The denial of the wealth of black folks throughout America and what was called or later to be known as Black Wall Street. We had more money than white folk could ever even imagine. But, you know, what goes around comes around. You reap what you sow. And believe me, white folks ain't going to be able to take it. They're dying. There are more people of their complexion dying than are being born. The sun don't like you. But it is what it is. Good luck to you. Because you guys are going to be made out of footstool for us. It's going to be what it is. Because as Gaddafi said, if you kill me, you'll be opening the door to all of hell for all of eternity. A lot of these pale-skinned people we call white are converting to Islam. That's not going to help you. They are being killed in the street, heads cut off, literally. And it's going to get worse and worse. The death of you people is here. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Nothing that you can do about it. The writing is on the wall, and the death certificate of you people has been signed, sealed, and delivered by me? No, by the hand of karma. It's a thing that rules the whole universe. You reap what you sow. Now y'all done fucked around, and now you're finding out. They're gonna pay a price that your ass cannot cast. and that the sins of the father and mother are always visited upon their children for generations and forever. You guys are not going to escape this shit. There's no crying. There's no hollering. There's no beating of your chest and head saying, I'm sorry. Fuck your sorries. Fuck your sorry. And I want to wrap it up. And peace. Stay blessed. And always stay black. And I'll leave it out. And look, if you like the channel, you like what you heard, please subscribe. It only helps us in the what they call it, the circulation of the video, and I forget what they call it. But anyways, hit the like button and subscribe. If you like to, you can always hold on. I'll make sure I get this right. You can always contribute to it, to the show, and oh my God, where is it? I'm getting kind of old. Oh man, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Well, you can always visit us on the WMB show on Patreon. Hold on, see if I can find it. I hate this when this happens. Anyway, hold on, we'll get it right. We get it right. Is this it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's the banner. Okay, I'm sorry. So here we go. So support the platform at patreon.com/WMB333. Check out my book on Amazon. It's called The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit, 1 and 2. And remember, always remember, evil always destroys itself in the end, and always, ALWAYS, and always. Always, WALWAYS, and always, ALLWAYS. That's what I wanted to say. And I think that's about it, right? Let's see. Yeah, I think that is a wrap, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you next Saturday. It's going to be a hell of a show again. So remember, if the police is fucking with you and the police is beating you half to death or to death, always go to Bonds for the Win. Shut them motherfuckers down. Bonds for the Win. You get the bond money, which could be in the hundreds of thousands, if not millions, especially if you do it on all three levels. The cop who did it, the police department, and the city. Now, you might be able to do it at the federal level too. But please remember that. Bonds for the Win. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am out of here. And I know my wife is looking at me like I'm crazy. And we're going to, what outro I'm going to do? All right, I'm going to do this one, and I'll be right back. All right, that's a wrap, ladies and gentlemen. Please share the video and leave comments and suggestions to make it better. I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to check out my book, The White Man's Burden of Lies and Deceit, available on Amazon.com for about $19 a piece. The first book consists of about 1,000 pages, and the second one is about 700 pages. So you get a lot of information for 19 bucks. That's a pretty good deal, and that was the whole point and purpose of writing the book and making it available. So peace out, and we will see you next Saturday at 8 p.m. sharp, every Saturday. Unless something happens, and that'll be on Sunday. Then, but Normally, we will be here on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right. Peace out. Love you guys and stay black.